Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Master Show Live. How are all of you? It's nice to see you on a Tuesday evening. Did you miss us? We weren't on last night. I was busy with the television and radio work and productions and projects. So we took a day off, as rare as that is. But we had such an incredible weekend of guests. It was really extraordinary. And a full week of guests all the way through Sunday this week as well. Hope you guys are doing well. Of course, here on the Jim Master Show Live, we always toast you in style. So it's good to see you and you and you and you. Like I said, whenever I do this, I always think I'm supposed to be doing this like in church. You know, you go up and down and hope you guys are doing well. I hope you have whatever your drink is of choice available to you. Nice little sip to kick off our show. Welcome, everybody. This is the place for light, love, levity, and lovity, as we accidentally coined when I said love and levity a little too fast in the summertime here on our entertainment lifestyle talk show series. We started this show months ago. We've done close to about 300 episodes, which is extraordinary, on a daily basis, bringing light, love, levity, entertainment, great information, knowledge building to our extraordinary international audience, viewers who call themselves the Lovities. They call me Mr. Levity. They call this Levity Hall. They're part of our Levity Squad, which I think is pretty cool. We welcome everybody. We are very viewer-centric, so you can post away. We see over 40 comments already on our show, which is amazing. So keep them coming. We are live right now. All of our shows are done live, and we do it like a television show, like an old school talk show, as we talked about, like Carson or Dick Cavett, David Susskind, Mark Griffin, Mike Douglas, others, but with a modern vibe and a modern twist of today, which is really, really cool. So we're sort of blending those two worlds together to present great conversations, really bringing back the lost art of conversation here on the Jim Master Show Live. As you know, this is an extension of my professional work in television, radio, multimedia as a TV radio personality, presenter, host, voiceover artist, narrator, writer, producer, stage MC, journalist, actor, and all the different things I've done over the years. So it's a blessing to have all of you here. Let's welcome some of our amazing guests. Of course, tonight we have Emmy, Olivier, and three-time Tony-winning theater producer Jim Kierstead here. And we both have a similar connection with that Kierstead name because my grandmother's maiden name is Kierstead, and that's Dutch. So we have a Dutch connection. It's good to see everybody. Let's check in with a couple of our viewers, our Lovities, as they call themselves, part of our Lovity Squad. Speaking of Dutch, from Holland, here is Willie. Good evening, dear Jim and Lovities. We are going to enjoy the show again. Perfect. We love that. Live from the Netherlands. And of course, we welcome you in style tonight. Good to see everybody, all the smiley faces. Merlin is watching from Innerkip, Ontario, Canada. Hi, Jim and all Lovities. Good to see you, Merlin, and we welcome you to the show. From San Diego, oh boy, I still remember when I graduated college, my college roommate and he and I went out to San Diego and to LA and all over, and we just had such a great time the entire summer. I got to get back. Last year I was on a TV shoot, not in San Diego, it was LA, and then we were over in Beverly Hills, we were up in Costa Mesa, we were in Calabasas, but I got to get down to San Diego. Welcome all Lovities. Dante CD is in San Diego, California. Welcome Lovities to the Jim Masters live show, the world famous Lovity Hall. Welcome, Jim. Of course, I'm the Lovity already. You're welcoming Jim Kierstead as a Lovity. I already told Jim about the whole Lovity thing. And again, Emmys, Tonys, Olivier, Drama Desk. He said the Lovity is what really he's been looking for all his career. So he's going to get it tonight from us. Mary Bishop from Florida is here. Hello, Jim and Lovity friends. Happy birthday to Jennifer. That's right. Jennifer Barry, one of our Lovity viewers in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It's her birthday. We wish her a very happy birthday. Let's take a look at some of the other comments before we welcome our illustrious guest to the show, who has been involved in some of the most beloved Broadway and off-Broadway productions, television productions, and so much more as an award-winning producer. Good evening, Jim and our Lovity family. I hope everyone is having their day and enjoying their day. Kathy Short, yes, we're enjoying it, and everybody's wishing Jennifer a happy birthday. We concur. Nice to see. Crystal Nolan is here from Connecticut. Hi, Jim and everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a fantastic day and looking forward to an exciting show, the inspiring conversation and entertainment and Lovity. You gotta Believe in levity, right? Boy, my hair's getting long. Usually it's like that guy there. Haven't had it cut since last March, and now I'm on this mission to make it to a year. It's the longest I've had it in my life. And actually, I'm doing that turtle tuck-in trick I told you about. It's where it gets tucked in there. Good evening, Mr. Levity, and good evening, Levities. Linda Odell in Florida. Nice to see you as well. Maureen says, it just makes my day when I'm home in time for the start of the evening in Levity Hall. Love spending my time with everyone. And you're a first responder, essential worker in the medical field there on the West Coast. So for you to rush home to watch us, we really appreciate that. Yes, tonight it is the show of Jim and Jim. You got it. And the Dutch connection. Good to see all these smiley faces. Welcome, of course, our dear friend June Rachelson Aspa, wonderful lyricist and more in New York. Nice to see you, June, in New York City. Anne is here as well from Florida. Hello, Jim and everyone. So happy we're here tonight. It's always a blessing when you guys are here. We love having you all here. Love seeing all these great comments. We're very viewer-centric here on the show. We love our viewers. Hello, Jim and Levity friends. Welcome, Tony-winning producer Jim Kierstead to the show tonight. Happy birthday, Jennifer, as well. Cheers to all. Yes, love it. So we'll continue with the celebrations and, of course, with all of your comments and all of your love here on the show. We welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us. We have a terrific show in store for you with, again, a brilliant guest who is responsible for a lot of incredible entertainment, Jim Kierstead, Emmy, Olivier, three-time Tony-winning producer of the Broadway touring in Toronto and London productions of Kinky Boots, the revival of Pippin, Hadestown, currently represented on Broadway as co-producer of the Tony-nominated Ain't Too Proud and Waitress, as well as The Inheritance. In addition, he has been co-producer of 20 Broadway productions, including The Visit. I saw so many of these productions too. The Visit, Cheetah Rivera. There was like a cocktail party event after when Cheetah was there, and I had an opportunity to go to that, and it was really beautiful. You Can't Take It With You, Indecent, the great comment that is, and of course, Be More Chill, Frankie and Johnny, and Claire de Lune, Pretty Woman's Sideshow, It Should Have Been You, and Butterfly, Rocky, and so many others. Off Broadway, Unexpected Joy, Yank, Bright Colors and Bold Patterns, Thrill Me, the Leopold and Loeb story, and of course, Waitress, Dreamgirls, Unexpected Joy, Yank, Thrill Me, Night of the Living Dead, Aspects of Love, television too, film and TV projects, including the Emmy-winning TV series, The Bay, Indoor Boys, After Forever, Ace, Between Love and Goodbye, Kiss Me, Kill Me, yes, and that's, I believe, Gail Harold starred in that, yes. Wakefield, of course, starring Bryan Cranston and Jennifer Garner, and the new series Mulligan, and upcoming projects too, including Sparkler and Cover. We're going to talk all about that and so much more. But live and direct from New York City, let me welcome my very special guest. He's had a very busy day today. Our wonderful friend Jim Kierstead joining us on the show. Jim, welcome.
Hey everybody, how are you? What a nice group. Oh my gosh, I love that. Great love coming across, all this levity.
Lots of levity coming your way. Mary Bishop of Florida says, welcome to the show, Jim. And Kathleen Walker says, welcome, Jim. Welcome, Jim by Jim from Willie in Holland. We were talking about that Dutch family connection. Mm-hmm. Bernadette, welcome, Jim, to our Levity Hall. We love your work. Crystal Nolan in Connecticut. Hi, Jim. Welcome to Levity Hall. And Merlin in Canada. Welcome, Jim, to Levity Hall. You're now a Levity. That didn't take long. so I tell you, you got the Emmys, the Oliviers, the Drama Desk, the Tonys, multiple Tonys, but you got a Levity tonight in the Jim Master Show Live. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm speechless about it. It's really great. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here and get to visit with you all.
It's kind of like saying after a sporting event when they say, I'm going to Disney World. You've got a Levity. And I love that. I love that. Good comments here from everybody. So nice to see you, Jim. You've had a very busy day today, huh?
They're all busy these days. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah. How have you been doing? Obviously, March last year, everything came to a grinding halt. Everything, life as we knew it, came to a grinding halt. Mm-hmm. So as a prolific producer, as somebody who's creative, as somebody who's involved in a lot of different things, when they sort of come to a closure or they just pivot and pause, which is what we're doing now, we're pausing. What are some things you've been doing to stay connected, to stay creative, and to stay sane at the same time?
Yeah, well, it's funny when we closed down, I had I think about 5 shows that were going to be opening on Broadway last spring. So we went from like all the openings and all of the invited dress and all the big events to nothing like overnight. It was crazy. So my other career has been IT. So I was an IT director for a company for over 30 years. And so I've got that technology part of me. So I was still working. I was still able to do that. But as far as my theater part of my life, it was over. And after about a couple of weeks, and it wasn't even just the theater part, it was just the unsettling nature of this scary virus and this situation where we're all so uncertain, don't know what to do. We don't know if we're going to be healthy, all these really scary things. So I sort of was in my apartment for the most part for a couple of weeks. And I probably, like most people were, I was barely leaving. I felt like I was going to die if I walked out the door. And then finally one night, I was watching TV. I was kind of hanging out. And I said, you know what, I should write, and just to preface this, I'm on the board of 3 not-for-profit theaters in New York City. So one's the York Theater Company, one is the Abingdon Theater Company, and the other is the New York Theater Barn. So, we've been suffering greatly with those theater companies, right? Like anybody else would.
And we just had the New York Theater Barn, a couple of the folks on from there just a couple of weeks ago through Robin Gorman-Newman.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Robin's a good friend,
Yeah.
Of course. Yep, know her for a lot of years. So I was noticing obviously through them and of course all of the other not-for-profits how badly they were suffering because they had nothing to keep them going. So they were busy just trying to find content to stream and do your StreamYard like you're doing, and a lot of people were recording things and bringing up archival footage and putting that out, and they were just trying to figure out what to do. And unfortunately, it's very interesting for me because having a career in IT for over 30 years and having a career in theater for over 20 years, I always knew that I would never really talk about either of those careers to the other one because theater people don't really care about IT and IT people don't really care about theater up until now. So what I thought I could do was do something to help these people who were suffering in these businesses and whatnot, and these theater companies. So I started a company called Broadway Virtual. It's almost a year ago that I started it. It was right in the beginning of the pandemic. And I set out to really learn the technology, learn the streaming, learn recording. I'm not an editor myself, but I have a bunch of people who I knew were editors. And I have a number of people who I know who were wonderful theater directors and really organized and super and a bit technology savvy. So what I did was I figured I could also help my friends and my friends and colleagues to be employed when they weren't working. So I started this company, and really it was kind of amazing. It could have been a big hot mess. Nobody might have ever called me to do anything. But the interesting part was I started partnering with Broadway On Demand at the beginning of all of this, and they just started becoming super popular in this world of streaming. So they became like the ipso facto standard for streaming for these not-for-profits and these other events. So we became partnered. So I'm a content creator and they're a platform. So it worked really well together because they kept getting people, who needed help with this technology, and that's what I do. So we just started getting lots and lots of jobs. So I've been really busy. We're actually doing the Writers Guild Awards that are coming up. We're doing a bunch of stuff for the Roundabout. So it's been exciting. It's been a busy year, but strange though.
A little strange, right? Yeah, because it's the lack of actually being amongst people. We're all connected, but we're not necessarily in the same room, and we're not able to hug and high five and hear the roar of the crowd and all those different things that everybody loves. But you've been quite creative, like you say, in keeping connected and coming up with. You're quite an entrepreneur, aren't you? You're always thinking of different ways to connect, collaborate, and create.
I'm trying, I do my best, right? I don't like to sit still. Let's put it that way. I don't think I would do well if I had nothing to do. So I needed to come up with another job to do.
Right. Right. But you, like you said, the IT thing is really interesting. Some people might not realize that, who know you from your brilliant theater background as well as television and film work, which I've been very privy to all these years, is that computer background. That was first for you, right? Studying computer science and IT first, and then theater, and then clinical psychology. And there is such a relationship and thread between all three, isn't there?
There really is. And people think they're very different and unrelated, but they sort of are related. I have a master's degree in computer science. That was my original course of study. So I started working for a company when I was in college, basically as an internship, and then 33 years later, I'm still there. But I worked for them for all those years, and I've developed their systems and whatnot. And then I always knew I wanted to go back for psychology someday, because I just love listening to people and helping them out and seeing what they're up to. But what was interesting is when I started exploring theater, which was about 20 years ago, I was always a fan of theater. I grew up in New Jersey, so I'd always be seeing shows on Broadway and whatnot. But when I started going, and getting involved with it more, I started doing it because I was helping some friends who needed help getting their show done. So I didn't necessarily set out to be a theater producer. I didn't even really know what one was. But because I have a background of business and organizational skills and project management, it kind of fit in well for somebody who loves the theater so much. I just ended up being a project manager on theater work. So I started developing different pieces with different friends of mine. And I just learned that I loved doing it, and it was really fun. So I did that, developing smaller shows for years. And then all of a sudden, one day, I realized in order to do bigger shows, I was going to have to get the fundraising down. I was going to have to figure out how to do that. That was a muscle that I had not exercised, and I was not overly comfortable with going and asking people for money. That didn't feel good to me. But I knew if I was going to do this job, I was going to have to get good at that. So that's when I started doing that, and that was when I did Kinky Boots. I started that back in 2012, in the early 2012. Came to Broadway 2013, but that was my first show, raising money for, and it was quite an experience.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with the raising funds for, vital projects, productions, programming with, the many years on public television, PBS, with the pledge drives and all the different things like that, supporting public television programming. So very familiar with all of that. The clinical psychology, that really fascinates me, Jim. What made you decide to add that into your mix of things? Were you always fascinated by, the study of the human condition and people's personalities and just the psychological aspects of entertainment, of music, of the arts, as much as it is with so many other things in life?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed talking to people and helping them and listening. I think one of my skills is I'm a really good listener. I can sit there and just listen to somebody talk and absorb what they're saying, right? And that's kind of one of the most important skills of a therapist, because you have to be able to sit there and just let this person unload everything and unpack. Right. So I always kind of was a person people would go to talk and tell them what's going on for them if they were going through rough times. And I said to myself one day, I was like, I really should do this because I like this a lot, and I would like to know better how to help people when they come to me. So I went to school. I said, one day I'll have a chance, right? Because I was busy with my work and I was busy with the theater and all that. And I said, one day I'll have a chance to go back to grad school again. So I went back to grad school. It was in, I guess it was around like 2000, when was it? 2009, maybe 2007, somewhere in that range. I went back. So I graduated about 10 years ago.
Where did you end up going?
I went to William Patterson
University,
right. Wayne, New Jersey, because they had a really cool program as a reciprocal program with NYU. So a lot of the folks who taught in the NYU therapy program taught at William Patterson, because a lot of them lived in New Jersey. So they said, let me just teach at this program so I don't have to commute to the city. So for me, I was working in New Jersey at the time, so it was very convenient, right? I knew I had to find a place that was convenient to where I was working, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do it. It was like school 3 days a week for 5 years. So I was doing that, and I did my internship, and I did my thousands and thousands of hours of face-to-face therapy with people, and then I got my license. So I've had the license now for about 11 years, I guess it is. But
so have you set up a practice, or is it something that you're doing on the side? How is it working for you, adding that into the busyness of the theater world?
Yeah, I'm not doing as much therapy right now, especially with COVID. Before COVID, I had a couple of clients I would see each week. So I'd pick one night during the week where I would just be in New Jersey and I would go to the counseling center. With this, I really haven't been doing it, and I would like to do it again someday, but I spent a pretty solid block of years doing therapy. So I would like to do it again, but just with all the theater stuff going on, it wouldn't be fair to clients to be kind of torn like that. So I'm going to put that off a little bit, but it was amazing because I learned so much about people, like we don't get a owner's manual for ourselves.
No.
When you do a therapy class, when you do a therapy course of study, you learn so much about yourself. And it was fascinating because unlike a computer science program where you're kind of alone in the class, I mean, you're with a class of people, but you're kind of heads down, you're paying attention to the professor, you're writing notes, you're programming, but you're not really interacting with other people unless for some reason you have a group project. So in counseling class, though, in psychology, you're constantly having an exchange with everybody. And it's amazing because you're revealing all this like personal information about yourself. It's just part of going into that. You have to explore yourself if you're going to ask other people to explore. So here I was in this class, like revealing all this stuff about myself that I would have never just told casual people, right? It was interesting. So I got much more comfortable with that, and it was a great learning experience for me, for sure. And I actually don't think it's that different than IT, because in IT you're trying to solve a problem with information. You're actually trying to logically figure out things, and you kind of do that in psychology as well, because you're trying to come up with like why somebody might be feeling a certain way, like what happened to them, what in their lives that brought them to a certain place. So there's a bit of detective work in both.
I would imagine too, there's probably times when things get a little hairy or a little crazy, on set or behind the scenes, whatever it may be, where having this understanding of personalities and people in general, you can come in, sort of slowly swoop in. And I find people calling me to do that all the time too, sort of a calming personality to sort of, I've walked into crazy television studios where everything is on fire and everybody's like going crazy, and I'll come in and they'll be like, oh my God, thank God Jim's here. It must be a Jim thing. Thank God Jim's here, because all of a sudden their blood pressure goes down, their voices go down, and let's see if we can sort of, bring it together, unify and work everything out, all the craziness. So I'm sure that probably in just understanding psychology in the way that you do, not where you're necessarily practicing it, but in the craziness and the movement and the personalities and the emotion and the fast-paced environment of theater, television, film, all of it, you can probably quietly practice some of it.
I can. It's really handy. It's like, it's such a helpful thing, whether it's theater, whether it's anything. It's like you just go with this skill set of understanding how to deal with people a little bit better, just because of all the practice and education that you've had in that field. So it's really valuable. Yeah. And you can also sometimes, if somebody's behaving in a certain way, you can kind of read into it a little bit and say, I need to do something differently because this isn't working out, instead of going right at them, right? It's like, going from the side, you have a different tactic because you understand maybe what's going on for them in that moment.
So when you were growing up, you grew up in Wayne, New Jersey, right?
I grew up in Wayne. I was in Wayne since I was 15. I was in West Orange, New Jersey before that. Yep.
So did you go to productions? Did you participate yourself in school plays or any of that? Were you ever a performer yourself through the years?
I am so not a performer. I love to sing. I would always sing like a chorus or something like that. I would do that for sure. But I was never an actor. I don't think I could act my way out of a paper bag. You wouldn't want to come see me act. Yeah. So I would always go to shows for sure, but I was never in the school play, unless I was in elementary school and I was, part of that or something. But no, not high school or anything like that. It was considered real theater.
So that first entree that you had into the theater world, tell us a little bit about that, because it might fascinate people, and how that really opened the door for you in terms of your passion, your thirst for it, your interest for it. Of course, the IT computer connection, but then when you were really getting into it from the producer side of things, where it's even more involved, tell us about those first opportunities that really developed, that sort of heightened your own enthusiasm and interest for theater and productions and Broadway and all of it.
Absolutely. Like I said, I would always go to see the theater. So I became a really big fan, especially when I started college and I started coming to the city with friends to see shows, right? When I was younger, I'd go with my parents and we would always see like the best, most popular shows. So, you'd be like, oh, Broadway, I'm going to Broadway. Everything's great on Broadway. Well, we know not everything is great on Broadway, but when you're only seeing a couple of shows a year, you're always going to pick the most popular ones. So chances are you're going to probably enjoy it, and the hype is probably going to make you like it also. But after you exhaust that, when you start seeing theater every couple of weeks instead of maybe twice a year, you have to start seeing things that maybe are brand new and nobody's seen before, or things that maybe are not getting the rave reviews just because there's not enough material, right? You run out of stuff. So anyway, so when I started seeing shows that were not of that, like those great big hit shows, I realized, oh, some of these are not all that good, right? So it was interesting to watch. And then you'd say, how did this get on Broadway? Wow, I thought Broadway was just like the best. And it's, so I started getting to develop a taste, right? I was like, okay, this I didn't like, and this is why. This I loved, and this is why. And I could start understanding like what was appealing to me so far as content, which I think is really important as a producer. You kind of have to develop your own your taste. It's very important because you've got to be able to explain to people why you think that show is going to be a hit and what it is about it, because otherwise people aren't going to want to invest with you if you're constantly putting them into stuff that closes and loses all their money. That's not a good business model for producing. So as I went on, I had this friend at the time, and a friend of his family who I got to meet. She was very involved with Sound Associates, which is the one of the big sound companies for Broadway. So I said, oh, she's involved with Sound Associates. Her kids are musicians and they're Broadway people. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So it turned out her adult children were writing a musical, and I said like, oh, that's so neat. And they said to me, well, we need somebody to. It was a big musical. It was very big and hard to produce. But anyway, I didn't know that at the time. I was just like, this is exciting. So they said, would you come into the studio? Because I knew I liked to sing. They said, we need some ensemble people for the demo tracks. And would you sing this one song? You could be the person who's the lead on that song. I was like, sure. I was like, of course. So I went and I did it. I had like the best time. I was in a recording studio like for the first time, actually being in there and seeing what that process was like. And then they said, well, we want to go and do a reading of our show. And I was like, well, I'd love to help you. I said, that would be great. And they're like, yeah, come on. So I was doing all things like the exciting job of like getting water and coffee for people. And I was, printing programs, and I was staying up all night and folding programs and making demo CDs. But it was really great because I was running the project on a very low level, doing all those groundwork things that a lot of people wouldn't do, right? Like if you're a co-producer on Broadway shows, you're kind of a money raiser. You're not really putting a project together from the ground up. So it was great because it gave me that exposure, and I got to go through the whole process of doing an equity reading, and we did several rounds of these. So there was a couple of readings we did. And I got to meet like a really cool Broadway producer who became a close friend as a result of that. And then I started investing a little bit in some of the shows that he was doing on Broadway. So I got to understand how that worked. So
what was the very first show that you actually had a chance to get your feet wet in?
You mean to invest in or to be a part? Okay.
To actually invest in, yeah.
To invest in, yeah. I did. You're going to laugh. It was a show that was supposed to come to Broadway, but it didn't. It closed before. It didn't happen. Like I gave this guy some money and it never came. It was supposed to be this play called Paper Doll. It was about Jacqueline Suzanne. And it was supposed to be Fran Drescher and Judd Hirsch were going to be in it. And
what a combination, huh?
Yeah, it never happened. But anyway, it was kind of fun with the process. I'm glad I didn't put all that much money into it because I didn't ever get to see the show. But I didn't learn my lesson, and I did some more things with him along the way. And then, it was fun. I did little Grey Gardens. I did a little of that, and then I was investing with other people. And I just wanted to see like what's this like to invest before I ask other people to invest in my stuff. I want to understand what I'm doing and understand that paperwork. And there's a lot of really complex paperwork with the operating agreements, the subscription agreements. You're really selling somebody part of a company. It's part of an LLC. So there's a lot of documentation there. It's a lot of ease. So anyway, so I did that, and then as a result of that, I said I love doing this. I was really into producing theater. So a friend of mine said, after nothing happened with the other show, he said, well, I've got a 2-person show. The other one was like 30 plus people, big musical. And he's like, well, I have a 2-person show with 1 piano. He said, would you like to work on that? And I was like, sure, what is it? He took a book off of the shelf and he handed it to me, and we read it together. And that was Thrill Me the Leopold and Loeb story, which I did. That was the first show that I produced. I did that in the Midtown International Theater Festival in 2003. And I got Martin Charnin to be the director of it. And we had a great time. It was really amazing. It was done at where the old Abingdon Theater used to be, down on 36th Street. And oh gosh, yes, that's the London Art. I love that one too. Yeah, we did it over there. I've done Thrill Me a lot. Little did I know that was going to be a big part of my life. That show has been running we did it. Okay, so just to finish that part. So we did it at this festival. It was a 50-seat theater. We sold out the run. I mean, there's only 50 seats, but we did 6 performances. They gave us a couple more performances because we couldn't keep the tickets. So we did that. It got published. No, it didn't get published yet. We did it the following year. The following year I did a show with Martin Charnin. I did this little review at Sam's, which is no longer there. And then the following year at the York Theater Company, we did a run of Thrill Me in their season in 2005. And it was as a result of that. And we extended it like 4 or 5 times at the York. It got published. We did a cast recording of it. And then I ended up going on the board because of my experience there and getting to meet Jim Morgan over there and the whole bunch. So I did that. And Thrill Me then started going around the country doing little productions here and there. But what happened with it that was so fascinating is a couple of years later, a producer in Korea wanted to do a Korean version of it. And we were like, oh, that's cool. It'll be in Korea. And well, what they do over in Korea and in most of Asia is they don't run shows like they do here. Like here, we'll run it until nobody wants to see it anymore. And then they'll just close it and it's, tanked at that point. Right. But over there, what they do is whether it's a big hit or whatever it is, they run it for 3 months. And then if it's a hit, they'll bring it back the following year for 3 months. And it could be like the biggest hit, and they won't run it more than 3 months. They just have these things scheduled in probably quarters, right? So they maybe run 4 shows a year in that kind of a way, more or less. And then they go and they'll bring it back the following year. So what was so neat was it's been running in Korea now for I think like 13 years. And then it's got picked up in Japan. So it's been running in Japan. And this, when I say 13 years, it's not 13 years straight. It's 3 months for 13 years. And then in Japan, it's been running, I believe it's like 7 years. And now it's in its 3rd year in China. So it's just been fascinating. The Asian audiences love the show.
They love it.
Yep. It's a dark show and they love that. It's really, and it appeals to a young audience too. Young women are really into theater over in Asia.
And then there's this one.
Yeah.
I mean, this here, gee. I mean, so many. You've been involved in so many of them, but tell us about this particular one.
Yeah, that's a special one. They're all special, but that's the really special one because it was my first one. And I was over at the York. I was working on rehearsing and developing a show called Unexpected Joy that was written by Bill Russell and Janet Hood.
Oh, yeah. Bill Russell was on the show as a guest. Yeah.
Yes. Bill and I go way back. When I Sideshow was actually the piece that made me want to be involved in theater in some way other than a spectator when that was originally on Broadway in 1998. And that show stuck with me and it's still stuck with me. Yeah. And I was a co-producer on it when the revival was on a few years back.
So that was a pivotal show for you to really develop things further then.
It was, yeah. I always knew that if theater could make me feel the way that the original Sideshow made me feel, then I wanted to be a part of this world more. So that was pretty special. And I got to know Bill through the process and Henry Krieger. So, Bill and his husband Bruce are like, 2 of my dearest friends to this day. So we just did a benefit for Broadway Cares of his show Elegies for Angels, Punks, and
That's right.
It was on World AIDS Day on December 1st. So that was a real labor of love. We had a wonderful time working on that together. But
Sideshow really did it, and then Kinky Boots again.
Yeah, so Kinky Boots was special, like I said, because I said to myself, if I want to raise money, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to make a commitment to raising money. So I called up Darryl Roth, and I said, if I can't raise money for Kinky Boots, because I love the movie Kinky Boots. Yeah. I love Cyndi Lauper. I heard the music. I loved the music. And I just think that that's one of the most beautiful, fun stories. I said, if I can't do this show, I don't know if I can do any show. Like this would be the show that I feel like I could sell really well. And this would be the first one. So I did it, and it took me a while. It took me maybe like 6 months. Fortunately, I jumped on board before they did the out-of-town tryout in Chicago in September of 2012. So I came on the beginning of 2012. So I had I spent 6 months raising money for that show. And I did it. I was ready to put my neck on the line, and I did it. And then strangely enough, we had worked with Barry Weissler on Yank when we did that off Broadway in 2010. And as a result of getting to know Barry a little bit during that time, when we were developing it further, oh gosh, you've got them all. I love it. So
we're good, right?
You are. You've got all the stuff. It's so awesome. So we all got to know each other a bit. So when Barry was working on Pippin, the revival of Pippin, he called me and one of my partners on Yank to go up to Cambridge to ART to see it out of town. So we went up there. We procrastinated. We like went the last possible week because we were just busy and it was the holidays. So it was like right after Christmas, I think right around New Year's. And we went up to ART and I saw it and I was like, oh my God, I love this show. It's so good. So he gave me like 24 hours to decide if I wanted to be a co-producer on it or not. And my friend who went up, he's like, I can't decide in 24 hours, forget it. And I said, I'm going to do it. I said, I'll do it. And I'll figure out how to do it. Well, it was interesting because all of my work on raising money for Kinky Boots paid off. Because when I went to a lot of people about Pippin, I didn't have to figure out who I was going to go to. I already kind of knew. So I went to all these people, and so it took me 6 months to raise money for Kinky Boots, but it took me like 2 days to raise it for Pippin. And at the same time, Barry had said to me, you know, I also have a big chunk of Matilda. If you'd like a bunch of that, you could have it too. So I raised money for Matilda that year as well. So I had Kinky Boots, Matilda, and Pippin that were that year. And of course we got, you know, nominated for Tonys for Best Musical for Kinky Boots and for Pippin. And of course Matilda did as well. And then, as I think you know, Kinky Boots and Pippin both won their Tonys that year. So it was pretty exciting. So
were you involved with Pippin when Lucy Arnaz was in it?
Oh yeah, she was one of the she was in the tour. She went into the tour. So we were part of the tour as well. So I was a producer on the tour. We had a great time with that. That cast was awesome. That touring cast was really good. It was impressive. Yeah. That day I was like, oh my God, look at these people. This is an awesome touring cast.
Lucy was amazing. She told some incredible stories about, you know, sort of hanging from the, you know, the ceiling upside down and the acrobatics of it all, and getting into physical shape. I went to see it, and there's Lucy there. Yeah, and
a great lady.
Lucy Arnaz, yeah. I went to see Pippin and brought, you know, a lot of family and friends. We had a fantastic time. It was a great show. And then we were chatting with her. I've known Lucy for a while, a little bit, and she's a great person, as you say. And she was just she's so funny. I love her sense of humor, but she was just talking so much about what it was like, you know, doing the acrobatics, because it's a very physical situation, isn't it, Pippin?
It sure is. Oh my God. Andrea Martin was the one who originated that role. And I remember like the first time you saw what she did, everybody was like, oh my God, she's going to win the Tony for this. Like, what is she doing? This is incredible. She was so good. And of course that role is just such a fantastic role, and the way that Diane Paulus created it for the, you know, for the stage with this revival, it was just fantastic. It made me so happy to see Pippin. I was so sad when it closed. I mean, it had a nice run, but it was too bad because I just enjoyed seeing it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Really incredible. And then again, like you say, Kinky Boots, winner Best Musical, Tony Award. Did you expect it to take off in the way that it did? People still talk about it.
I have to tell you, I really did. I felt really strongly about that show. I said, if, you know, Broadway's uncertain, you never know, right? It could have turned out badly. But I said, if that show, and I knew the movie very well, as I said, I knew the film. And I said, if they're true to that film script, they can, as long as they have good music, right? The music has to be good. As long as they do the last 10 minutes of that show right, I said, I think it's going to be just a smash hit, because that ending is just phenomenal. It's got Broadway theater written all over it. And I just remember seeing the end of it, and I was like, up, there you go. You got it. You nailed it.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. So you mentioned Pippin, of course, which is fantastic. And of course, here's another beloved one.
Yes.
Tell us about your involvement in this one, The Myth, the Musical, another phenomenal one.
You know, that's another one that I just love so much. It's funny, like I'm pretty honest, you know, so if there was something I was involved with that I didn't like, and I don't fool myself into thinking that I liked it. And there were probably a couple that I wasn't crazy about, but I love Hadestown, and I had seen it when it was downtown some years back, and I didn't love it. There was something about it that it left me a little cold. And then all of a sudden, when they started, you know, reworking it, and they were bringing it over to London so they could try it out over there at the National and going through its paces. A friend of mine was working on the show as a stage manager, and I was meeting with her, and she said, "You have to be involved with Hadestown." And I said, I don't know that I loved it. I said, I had seen it downtown and it wasn't my favorite thing. I appreciated it, but I wasn't crazy for it. And she said, no, it's much better. She said, they did so much good work on it. Rachel Chafkin did a fantastic job and it's great. And I said, okay, all right, let me keep that in mind. So when the opportunity came up, I had in my mind that I wanted to be part of it. You know, at least I wanted to explore that, rather than if I didn't have that conversation with her, I probably would have been like, it's not for me. But I said, I'm going to trust her because I really know she has good instincts. And I did love the vibe of the show. There was just something about that version that I didn't love. And I went to opening night. I didn't get to see it until opening night when it was on Broadway. And when I was in London, I didn't get to see it over there. It was like not running the day that I had to see it. So it was all crazy thing. But I went to the opening night and I said, all right, I hope this is good. And from the minute that it started, I was like, you guys nailed it. And Andre DeShields, I mean, they're all so great, but Andre coming out just makes that opening just fantastic. He just really knocked everybody's socks off. So that shows a real pleasure for me also.
I tell you, it's really incredible when you look back at the amount of productions and projects and shows you've had an opportunity to have, you know, involvement in and continue to. It's extraordinary. Here's another one people may remember and know.
Yes.
Tell us about this one.
So Waitress was one. Waitress is a little bit different than a lot of the shows I do. Like I like when people look at my resume, my bio and whatnot. I like them to be able to get an idea of what kind of who I am, right? Like if you're just doing every single show on Broadway, that doesn't really reflect your taste or what your personality is like.
Right.
Doing a lot of shows.
Exactly.
But if you pick them kind of based on who you are, like each show reflecting you for some reason, whether they're a hit or not, that's not the important part. I mean, of course, we'll all be hits, but if it's something you absolutely love, like Sideshow, right? I wasn't like Sideshow. I kind of went into almost not expecting it to be a big hit. I thought maybe it could be, but it wasn't the first time for sure. And it was not this time either, but it's just a piece that's so important to me and the humanity of it and whatnot. So when Waitress popped up, I love Sarah Bareilles' music. I love the idea of what it is. You know, I love the idea it's this woman who really has to learn to love herself. So that's super important to me. But in general, it's like it's kind of light. It's kind of fun. You know, it's whimsical. But I fell in love with the music. You know, that Sarah Bareilles is really powerful. And the thing I loved about it too is, like Cyndi Lauper, she embraced being a Broadway composer lyricist. She really did that. And there are some celebrities, some big pop stars, rock stars, who come to Broadway and they do a score for the stage, and they have no interest in being a part of the Broadway community or embracing this. They're just like, sure, I'll write you a score. Here it is. Now I'm not coming to Broadway. I'm not.
That's done. Yeah.
And those two women, I give them a lot of credit. They both immersed themselves. And I mean, Sarah went into the show, you know, she ended up playing the leading part, leading role. So, you know, so she really was into it. And Cyndi was as well. You know, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing her and Harvey Fierstein popping up all over the place when Kinky Boots was going on. So I really loved being a part of Waitress. And I was so glad that people responded to it in the way that they did. People, you know, seemed to just react very, very favorably to it. So we had a great time with Waitress. That was a real pleasant one to be part of.
Maureen says, oh my God, Waitress was amazing. I saw it when Jordan Sparks was in it. She's a local girl, done good.
Love Jordan. Yeah, that was a fun one for sure. It's great.
Christine Clifton in North Carolina says, Kinky Boots was quite a show. Sideshow is so special, such a unique show. Of course, June, Kinky Boots was so awesome. Sideshow too. Maureen, I'm dying to see Kinky Boots. Merlin asked, what have you worked on in Toronto? She's up in Ontario, Canada. Oh,
we had Kinky Boots up there. That was in Toronto. That was up there. Yep. That was my I don't know if that was my one show. I was involved with a film up there. We did a lot of Wakefield, the film with Bryan Cranston and Jennifer Garner. So we did a lot of our opening stuff up there, which was really fun. But yeah, that was the one show I had in Canada, Kinky Boots, when that was up
And
there.
what was that like, working with Bryan and Jennifer on Wakefield, that television series?
Well, I wasn't necessarily in the trenches with them. I got to spend some time with them at the various events and whatnot, and they were terrific. But, you know, as soon as I knew that it was Bryan Cranston, like, how can you go wrong with Bryan Cranston?
He's so good, and everything he does. Yeah.
oh my goodness, he's just so talented and so nice. Like, it's really nice to see Hollywood people of his caliber who are just really good human beings. Just a good guy. And Jennifer seemed like a sweetheart too, but very talented. An unusual piece, very unusual. I don't know if you've seen it, but
yes,
it was an unusual piece. But definitely a story worth being told. That was a lot of fun.
What's really cool is the variety of projects. You can't really say that you are one particular genre. It's the quality of the project, the versatility. Here's another one you were involved in, of course, Inheritance. Tell us about this one.
One of my favorite experiences of my theater world. I have loved that show. So I kind of knew I was going to like it. I don't know why, but there was something about it that just felt like I'd like it. Like I loved Angels in America. So I felt like if I liked Angels in America and this was written well, I'd feel similarly to it. So I was getting involved with it, and I went to London. And when I was in London, because I was doing that, I was doing Aspects of Love over there with my British partner, Katie. So that over there at the Southwark Playhouse. And while I was there, I said, I want to see The Inheritance. So I booked the tickets. I had like 2 slots in my calendar that could possibly fit it during my trip. So I booked it one night for the first part, and then I did an afternoon for the second part a couple of days later. And I went there. I sat in that theater, and I was mesmerized by the first part, and just the ending of the first part. If you've seen it, it's just, what happens. And I couldn't wait to go back and see the second part. Like, if I could have stayed there at the theater another 3.5 hours, I would have done it. And I went back, and I loved the second part as well. And I said, I've got to be a part of the show. It's just so spectacular. So when that show is on Broadway, people think I'm crazy, because when I like a show, I'll see it a lot. And they're like, you saw it already. I'm like, I know, and I'm going to keep seeing it if I like it. I saw the marathon of The Inheritance on Broadway, and it's like it ran for like 3-4 months, something like that. So it wasn't that many weeks, right? You're only talking about like 16 weeks probably. So I saw the marathon, both shows back to back on one day, one full day. I went back 8 times.
Did you really?
Yeah, 8 days of my life watching The Inheritance on Broadway, and I couldn't get enough of it. I would have continued to see it.
Yeah, really. It's, and another great one, of course, The Visit with Cheetah and Roger, of course. And I was there. I got a chance to see this. I thought it was terrific. Tell us about your involvement there.
Sure. Well, I'm a big fan of Candor and Ebb. Certainly a big fan of Terrence McNally. Big fan of Tom Curdahay, who was lead producer on that show.
Yeah.
And, we've known each other for years. So when The Visit came out, I love dark material. I mean, I definitely have a tendency toward kind of dark and gritty. And I knew that The Visit was just that. And of course, Cheetah Rivera and Roger Rees. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer there. So I wanted to be a part of it, and it was such a pleasure to be a part of Candor and Ebb's last musical and whatnot. So I usually try to support, be a part of anything that Tom Curdahay and Terrence McNally were doing. So I was part of Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune this past year, and that was just such a treat, because Terrence he passed away during COVID.
Yes.
That was his last show that was on Broadway, so it was just a real pleasure to be a part of that revival with him. But anyway, The Visit was a real joy to be a part of too. It didn't do tremendously well commercially, but it certainly is a gorgeous piece that really deserved to be out there and be seen.
Yeah, I just thought it was I thought it was really well done, and it was just a pleasure. You know what I mean? It was it was an amazing. I was there on the opening night. I got invited to go there on the opening night, and I thought it was terrific. The Lyceum looked spectacular.
It sure did. They did such a great job of making it look like a rundown mess on the stage, right? Wasn't that scenery gorgeous?
Yes, and I thought the combination of Roger and Cheetah and the whole story was, it's just very touching, very heartwarming, wouldn't you say?
I couldn't agree more.
And she's amazing, isn't she, Cheetah Rivera? I mean, gee.
Oh, so funny. Like, I have to tell you something funny, because I was at the Tonys that year, and I forget what I was there. Well, The Visit was one of them. It was up for Tony that year for Best Musical, but there was something else I was there for. And my brother-in-law and my sister were watching, because they were like, "Oh, Jim's gonna be at the Tonys. Let's see what's on." And they're the people who see theater maybe like once a year when they get to the city. So they're watching, and my brother-in-law afterward, he goes to me, he goes, "Oh my God, and that poor Cheetah Rivera." He goes, "It looks like she could barely walk." He goes, "Like, look at her. She can't even move around the stage. She's got the cane and everything." I was like, "No, that's her part." Oh, Cheetah Rivera could like kick her leg above her head and she.
You'll laugh because a couple of people I was seated with said that same exact thing, and I said, "No, that's part of the actual storyline. That's part of the."
I was like, no, Cheetah Rivera can outdo you with anything you do. I'm sure she's fabulous, great shape.
That is funny. I remember it was the opening night was quite a night. There was a lot of paparazzi. It was just really, really spectacular. There was just some shots from the Lyceum that we have that night.
Look at all those people together. Boy, that brings back nice memories, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was packed, and of course, the stage and the setting was just really
good,
very intimate. And then there was the sort of like the after party too, and there's Cheetah there.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, she was wonderful, huh?
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Wasn't it a Copacabana? Is that where it was?
Yes, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Sitting holding court with a bunch of people in that back upstairs room. Yeah, that was a nice party.
She was terrific, and everybody, and thank you, Austin Field, saying another great show. He's enjoying our show tonight, and Linda is saying thank you for sharing your life story with us. Christine is saying, wow, Jim, all these shows have sure been top-notch shows. Fantastic as well. I agree 100%. So much great material, and this is just really scratching the surface, because here's another one. You can take it with you.
Yeah, I love that cast so much. What a cast.
Yeah,
that was a special show. Really, really cool.
That's great when you have an opportunity, again, to be a part of so many different ones. Here's another, of course, the Great Comet.
Yes. That was my year of immersive shows. I was really into immersion that year. So I was doing, The Great Comet. That year I had The Encounter. I was part of The Encounter. And I was also developing a immersive show that was going to run downtown. It was like a true, immersive show where the audience would walk around and whatnot. So it was fun. In fact, I'm doing an immersive show now. We just announced it yesterday. Whether you know it or not, it was National Margarita Day. I know that's an important holiday to know. Oh my God, you've got it all, got everything. So we're developing this show called Margarita Live. It's all on there's a lot of different stories about who invented the margarita. Nobody quite knows. So we're going to do this kind of fun immersive show where, of course, there will be lots of margaritas to drink, but also there will be like singing and dancing, and it'll be told through like movement, and we'll have some fun characters in it, like Rita Hayworth. They'll be singing Besame Mucho, which was a song that she made very popular. And one of the theories is that it was named after her, after Rita Hayworth. Yeah, and there's several other stories too. So we're going to do that, weave these stories together, and let everybody have a good old time in the process.
So that's just been launched?
Yeah, we're going to be doing that in the summer down in Miami. We're going to start it in Miami, and then we're going to bring it all over the place, hopefully.
So it's going to be, it's not something that's virtual online. You actually go to it?
Yeah, it's going to be in person. Yeah. And the part about it too is I think immersive shows can come back a little bit faster than regular shows, because you can move away from people if you don't fill it as much, and the models of the financing are not as strict as like Broadway. When this whole thing began, people would say, "Oh, you can open Broadway again. You have to do a 25%." I'm like, can't. It's not going to work. The finances of Broadway do not allow you to operate that show at 25%. It has to be 100% capacity, or you're never going to make your nut each week. Not going to work.
So what do you see happening with that being the case? Are they going to have to alter the seating arrangements, or what do you see where it's going to be safe enough where everybody's going to be comfortable, whether it's the performers, the investors, producers, the public at large, the government, whatever it may be, everybody, all the parties involved, where they're comfortable enough to say, okay, I'm going to go. I know the enthusiasm, the passion, everybody wants to get out and wants to go into every place they can, movie theaters and concert halls and restaurants, the whole bit. But for Broadway, what do you see as, and even off Broadway as?
Yeah, it's a big mess, and nobody quite knows. But what they're trying to do, everybody's kind of feeling their way in the dark in this uncharted territory. but I don't say this from knowing, but I'm saying this because it feels logical to me. I think it's going to be very vaccine dependent. I would imagine that it's going to come to be a time where people will have their card or some kind of ID that'll say that they were vaccinated, and they'll have to show that in order to go into a place like a theater, one of those public places. So I don't think that people are going to be required to take a vaccine by the government, but I think that there's going to be a lot of, hey, if you didn't take your vaccine and can have proof of it, you're not coming into this venue. And I think that that's maybe how that should be working. Because I know that I wouldn't want to go sitting in a theater like shoulder to shoulder with people if I didn't think that they had been vaccinated, if I wasn't myself. So I think that's going to be a really strong component. And like if you go in a theater, right, it's rough because theaters are tight, they're cramped, and there's always somebody coughing. Like if you're watching a play and it's quiet, you're always hearing coughing and sneezing all over the theater. So imagine now you're sitting there and somebody behind you like coughs on you, you're going to punch them, right? So I would say that people are going to have to wear masks for a while. I would say that it's going to be very vaccine dependent, or at least getting a test, like a rapid test before you go in. Even going to the bathroom, I think that the new shows that are going to be popular for a while are going to be on the shorter side, because I don't think people are going to want to have an intermission where they've got to go down those stairs, because when you're going down the stairs, there's somebody coming up and they're right in your face and they're breathing on you. It's really awkward. So I think that we're going to have a little bit of a different climate of theater for a while, until we get over this, until we get this herd immunity, which we need desperately.
Jacques Pepin was just saying, I've had the pleasure of interviewing him on public television. He was just saying, in terms of even with restaurants, that one of the things that restaurants should do when coming back is to keep things simple and keep it fresh. Don't have huge menus right now at this point. Just have quick, simple, easy things for people and fresh, so you can make it fresh and then people are in and out. That may be some of the approach in terms of, like you say, in a way, less is more a little bit, huh?
I think so. And I think, we went through a big upheaval, and I say that in a good way because we needed to this summer, but with Black Lives Matter. So I think that the climate of theater is going to change a little bit in the content and the style, and, just based on the number of people and not wanting that big number of people to be too enclosed for too long. And I also think it's going to change the content of what we're looking at. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how that develops, what material is being produced going forward.
Well, one thing we know, and with your clinical psychology background, is no matter how rough life gets and how crazy things can get, you could always be more chill.
Yes, you can never be chill enough. I always say.
Tell us about this one. I know several people actually that were a part of this particular production. This was quite amazing and won a few awards, didn't it?
Yeah. Be More Chill is quite an interesting little piece. I know Joe Iconis, the writer, for many years now. He's been a person who I've just always watched his work and admired and whatnot. And his stuff is sometimes not the most commercial stuff, but it's always really fun and really well crafted. And Joe is like, he knows what he wants. Like, Joe is somebody who doesn't sacrifice what his vision is. I really admire that a lot. And, he's got his very loyal band of actors and developers and co-creatives with him who are usually in his shows and whatnot. And he's had the opportunity sometimes over the years to have other shows go to Broadway. And if the producer was not willing to have his friends in the show, then he would not do it. He would not take that offer. He's fiercely loyal. Yeah. So when Be More Chill, when they started talking about Be More Chill, they said, well, you know what he did was he spoke with Jerry Gerling, who's the lead producer on Be More Chill, and they'd been friends for a long time. So Joe decided to put the recording of Be More Chill up on Spotify, or up on the internet. And what he found out was that it was going viral. Like, all these young people wanted to listen to this music. It was insanely popular. So when he was talking to Jerry, he said, Jerry, he's like, Be More Chill, we worked on it years ago. Like, we never really did anything with it, but the music is going crazy. Like, there's millions and millions of listens on this stuff. So he said, what do you think? And Jerry's like, well, why don't we do it, over at the Signature? We'll do it for the summer. We'll do it for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something over the summer, and we'll see how it goes. Well, the minute that got announced, it was sold out, like, immediately. So they were like, wow, this is really amazing. Like, they just couldn't keep the tickets. So what they decided to do, what Jerry said, let's do, is, he said, we got this great piece. The Schuberts are offering them the Lyceum. We mentioned that before. They said, like, you can go to Broadway with this show. And he's like, yeah, like, what if we, like, who knows? Maybe it won't work on Broadway. Maybe that's not the place for it. But what if we don't try it? And we always wonder if we should have. So he said, let's try this. And everybody was really anxious to be part of it, just based on the success of it before, based on that it was Joe, based on that it was appealing to all these young people, getting them into Broadway. I'm like a really firm believer in audience cultivation. Like, I always want to go out to new audiences that can enjoy theater, because I don't want it to be, thankfully we do that now, right? But years ago, like back in the 90s, when we were having a really shady time of theater, like there were so many dark theaters, because the content had to change, because it was basically like you couldn't keep showing like Oklahoma and Carousel over and over again, because the young people weren't going to have it. They're like, no, like if they saw something they liked, they might go to see that as a revival just because they've gotten into theater, but that would not be the thing that would draw a younger audience in.
No.
So they finally figured out what to do, right? They're like, all right, we're going to do jukebox musicals. Let's do that. That's a great idea. Well, that got boring really fast. And then they came up with like, let's do content for younger people, like the Dear Evan Hansons and the Wickeds and all these kind of pop-oriented shows, but really good quality. So anyway, Be More Chill, I was really happy to be able to be a part of that, because I think that it spoke to younger people and teenage angst, and it was a story that they just loved so much. The negative part of it in retrospect is that, it was, when it went to Broadway, you're also talking about the Broadway prices, and you're also talking about a show that it's not a Wicked where the parents are going to love it just as much as the kids. It's very young centric. So the parents probably, not that they didn't enjoy it. I think a lot of older people do enjoy Be More Chill, but it wouldn't necessarily always be their first choice of a show to go to. So many times it was them going for the kids, and then they had to spend a lot of money to do it because they had to go along with the kids, and it's expensive and whatnot. So anyway, it was worth a try. It was a lot of fun to do. And then we had it in London. It just, closed because of the pandemic, but it was over there at the other Palace, Andrew Lloyd Webber's theater. So it was going strong right before the pandemic. So hopefully we'll open again when we can eventually. And I think that this show lends itself well to like an off-Broadway style, because you can charge less for it. It's not as many seats, and the kids can go there and enjoy it that way for not a huge price point.
Absolutely. Here's another one.
Yes.
This is when you were talking about. Yeah.
Yep. We're going to miss him.
Audra McDonald. Yeah. Tell us about the involvement with that. That was something special, huh?
It was. I saw Frankie and Johnny. I didn't see the original production, but I saw the revival with Edie Falco and Stanley Tucci a bunch of years ago. So I loved the story. I was really into it. And when they said that it was coming back, and of course, Audra McDonald, right? Like, I love Audra McDonald, and I love Michael Shannon. They're just super, super talented people. And I was excited about being part of that revival. I think it's such a special story about these two relatively unremarkable characters, right? There's just kind of a slice of life, and these two, very regular people. And it was such a pleasure to be a part of, Terrence's last show on Broadway.
Yeah.
So it was really lovely. It didn't do overly well commercially, but I think everybody who got involved with it, I'm always very honest when I ask people to come on a project. I always explain to them why I think they should do it. And I don't say, oh, you're going to make a lot of money on this, if I don't believe that it will. And I didn't necessarily think that Frankie and Johnny was going to make a ton of money. I thought, maybe it'll break even and get a little bit of a profit, because it wasn't even set to run all that long. But I said, this is a really special piece. Terrence McNally, Audra, Michael Shannon, just a great piece. And you probably, if you have the money that you'd like to put in something like that, we've made a lot of money on some of these other shows we've done. So this might be one to kind of do for the team. And I don't know if people were willing to do it. So it was really fun to be part of it.
There's another familiar one.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a blast with that. Jerry Mitchell, once again, I love Jerry from Kinky Boots. We had the best time. I mean, I don't know that I could pick a experience better than Kinky Boots. It was just such a magical time. So Jerry, wanted to recreate kind of the magic. He has his team of people. Brian Adams wrote the music for this one. So we had them, and it was super spectacular fun. It didn't get the best reviews in the whole world, because when you compare a musical to a big blockbuster movie that everybody knows with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, and now you've got this musical version of it. But I have to tell you, I think they did a pretty good job with the adaptation. I'm pretty picky when it comes to adapting a show for from a big famous movie. In fact, I'll almost never do it just because I feel so strongly against it, because I think people are going to maybe be excited to go, but they're going to be disappointed when they don't see it. Like, you know, when they did 9 to 5 on Broadway, I felt a little bit like, oh, they're going to go and they're going to think they're going to see Dolly Parton and Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, and then they don't, right? Not that there's anything wrong with what they did, but it did much better in London than it did on Broadway. But Pretty Woman, because of that music, that Bryan Adams music and that story, and Jerry, I trust Jerry's eye. He knows exactly how to do things commercially. So I was happy with Pretty Woman. You know, it didn't last on Broadway as long as I would have liked, but it's the breaks.
It should have been you.
Oh my gosh.
Time Daily and the whole crowd. Wow.
Yeah.
Another great.
That was the Daryl Roth one. You know, Daryl got to be very friendly during Kinky Boots. And when she was doing this, a bunch of our Kinky Boots alumni, right? Because this was pretty soon after Kinky Boots opened. It was successful. So a lot of people were like, you know what, let's jump on board this because it's a great story. David Hyde Pierce directed it. You know, it's a terrific cast. How can you not love Harriet Harris and Time Daly? And it's just a fun story, a fun, crazy story. And strangely enough, the woman who wrote the music, her name is Barbara Anselmi. She was part of that original show that I told you about that I did the reading of, that very first show, that 30 plus people. So she was our musical director. So it was really nice to just be a part of it with that whole great group of people. Yeah, so that was fun.
That's, I mean, that's incredible. Another one too, and a Butterfly.
Yes. That was an ironic show for me. I got to be a Tony voter as a result of that show because I loved the original and Butterfly, and they were reworking it. It was Julie Taymor was the director, and she said that she wanted to work with David Henry Hwang and redo it, do a new version of it to make it more contemporary. And they did it, and they kind of wrote a new play. It wasn't quite M Butterfly anymore to the way that it was remembered by people. So it didn't last. It was interesting how that happened. But yeah, that was M Butterfly.
And did that go overseas, or was that done overseas as well, or no? Were there other versions?
The original version was a Tony-winning play, right? That was the one where B.D. Wong was in it.
Right.
Covered in M Butterfly, and it was a huge hit. It was great, and that play was really spectacular. And now it was redone, and it was a very different play. Than the
totally different.
Yep.
Love Wins, Rocky Broadway. Here's another one you had.
Gosh, talk about a show that everybody was fighting to get in. That show was coming in with such fanfare, and it was so expensive. And of course, Sylvester Stallone, I got to meet Sylvester Stallone a bunch of times along the way. That was, Ahrens and Flaherty wrote it. Tom Meehan did the book. Alex Timbers directed it. And it was a big show. And at the end, I don't know if everybody knows or who's seen it, but at the end, they moved the audience around and they brought the boxing ring out, and it came into the audience, and they had their final fight, and the boxing ring was spinning around, and there were the big announcers, the big fight people talking about it on the screens. I mean, it was an expensive, really intense show. It was a difficult show. When you think of Rocky, you think of a little movie. That's right. I think of a little intimate love story, and it was very interesting because that's what the story is. But the story here on Broadway stage at the Winter Garden, one of Broadway's biggest theaters, all of a sudden you've got this really intimate little story being told in this gigantic theater. And then all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, you'd be doing this gigantic production number, huge, right? Like him running up the stairs and like training with the meat market, all the different things. Then you'd be back to this little intimate production. So it was very interesting to watch how that
pull
worked.
off. Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be part of. People were clamoring to be a part of that show. Oh, Unexpected Joy. Yeah.
I love the way you react to each one. Like you can feel the attachment to the different projects. Tell us about this one being about.
Well, this is near and dear to my heart because, some of these other shows we're talking about, I was a co-producer on it, right? Yeah. People were the leads and they created it and they did all the work. But Unexpected Joy was a show that I created with Bill Russell and Janet Hood.
Yeah.
Janet and Bill wrote together LG's For Angels, Punks, and Raging Queens that I told you about. And this was a show that they had written. And it's all about, it's 4 women. It's a woman who's like a hippie, an ex-hippie rocker. And she's got a daughter who is very, very conservative, and she's very religious. And then she's got a daughter. So it's the 3 generations of women. So, and her daughter wants to be a rocker just like her grandmother. So the grandmother and the granddaughter have this really special bond. And the daughter, who's the middle generation, she's the one who's very, very uptight and thinks her mother like didn't treat her well when she's growing up, and she never felt safe because the father and she would like be smoking pot all the time and being out drinking, like they were big rockers. They were like a rock band, and she was like scared all the time. So she married this televangelist guy, just to kind of keep safe and to feel like everything was good in her life. So she really resented her mother. So they go together to, she lives in Cape Cod, so they come together to sort of have a reconciliation because the father has passed away a year before, never had a funeral, and now the mother wanted to do a memorial concert in his honor and sing some of the songs. So they go up to Cape Cod, they're not on the best terms, and they end up kind of having a nice time for a while because they're singing a lot of the old songs that the parents performed and whatnot. And the daughter, of course, knows everything, and she's a singer in her own right. She sings religious music rather than rock, but they start singing some of these songs. And then all of a sudden, the grandmother, springs on her that she's going to be getting married, and she's going to be marrying a woman, as a matter of fact. So that doesn't sit well with her at all. So chaos ensues. The music is awesome, and by the end they decide, and it was sort of exciting because with all the division and the politics and whatnot, this was before. Fortunately, this was like a bit before that, but it was sort of a precursor to that, and it was sort of about the moral of the story isn't that you're going to be able to convince another person to come over to your side and think your way. You just have to eventually realize we're a family, and we have to let each other do what we feel comfortable with, and just appreciate that rather than trying to get angry and try to convince somebody or yell at them. So that's kind of the moral of Unexpected Joy. How do we sort of live with our differences rather than try to change people?
Exactly right. And it's so apropos for the times. Here's another: bright colors and bold patterns.
Yes, that was a fun one. That was downtown, and that was directed by Michael Urie, and it starred a really talented guy who wrote it, and he's again started it, named Drew Droege. So it was about this guy who's very unhappy, this gay guy who's just very unhappy that all of his friends are getting married, and he feels kind of like left out and disenfranchised. So he goes on a bit of a rant about that, a very funny rant for 90 minutes or so.
Yeah. Again, the variety of what you've had an opportunity to be involved in is extraordinary. You mentioned briefly a little bit about Yank, World War II love story. Tell us a little bit about being involved in that.
Yank was such a pleasure for me. I was on the board of the York at that point for 5 years, and I was back in graduate school for my therapy, for my psychology work. So I was over at the York, and Jim Morgan, who's a very dear friend of mine for a lot of years now. So we were driving home. I was driving him home. I had my place in Hell's Kitchen. He lived on the Upper West Side. So I'd be driving sometimes back to New Jersey to my place over there. So I'd throw him in the car and I'd drive him home after we were out visiting. And we're in the car, and he said to me, this show Yank. He goes, we have to get another person on by tomorrow. He goes, because there's not enough co-producers. We need another co-producer on, or we're not going to be able to do it. We won't have the financing in place. The people to do it. And I was like, he's like, would you do it? And I said, I can't. I can't do it. I said, I'm in the middle of school. I've got work. I've got all this stuff going on. I kind of wasn't doing a lot of theater. I mean, I was still doing the boards and all that stuff, but I was, really busy. So he said, oh, come on. I said, Jim, I can't. He goes, we have to know by noon tomorrow. He goes, won't you do it? I was like, no, I can't do it. He said, I'm going to leave the CD for you. I'm going to leave the music. You have to listen to the music. And if you don't want to do it, okay, but I hope you do it. I was like, Jim, I can't, but I'll listen to the CD. I drop him off. I put the CD in, and for the first number, I'm like, this is really good. And by the third number, which is a song called Click, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be co-producing Yank at the York Theater this
He knew what he was doing. He gotcha.
Yeah, he knew I'd like it too, and it was great. So we had the best time doing that. We had, it was a great cast. Nancy Anderson starred in it. Bobby Steggert was in it. Ivan Hernandez, Tally Sessions, Andrew Durand. Just a great, great cast of people. It's one woman, and then I think it's 9 guys or 10 guys. Anyways, 9 or 10 guys in it, and one woman. And it's like all different song stylings of back in the World War II era. So for anybody who doesn't know what it is, it's about soldiers in World War II, and it's basically in the feel of a World War II romance musical movie, except the love story is between two guys who are in this army barracks together, and it's all about that and how they have to keep quiet and how, but it's a story that never could have been told in a World War II movie. And that's what this musical is about. It's really, really sweet and special, and the music is spectacular. So after it had its run at the York and it extended a few times, we wanted to bring it to Broadway. So back then, David Cromer was kind of the it guy. Like everybody's talking about David Cromer. He was doing like a ton of shows. So we went to David Cromer, and David wanted to do it. So David came on board. We did 2 workshops over the next year and a half. One was at the Roundabout, and one was with the Old Globe. And David worked with the guys, with the 2 writers, 2 brothers, David and Joe Zelnick are their names, and they wrote the book, music, and lyrics together. And they ended up writing this brand new version of Yank. It was like a much more gritty, serious version of Yank. And we did these 2 big workshops of it. And that's when Barry Weissler got on board. Barry and Fran Weissler came on board for the second one. And we eventually, strangely enough, we had a conversation with the guys, and they weren't happy with really the way it was going. They wanted the show to have that lightness that it had at the York. They wanted it to be fun, and it wasn't as fun anymore. It was like it was a different piece, right? It was almost like the butterfly thing I was telling you about, where it was like one thing, and then all of a sudden it was worked on, and then it wasn't what it was if anymore. So that's what was happening with it, and it was a perfectly good new version, but it wasn't what they wanted Yank to be. That wasn't how they envisioned it. So we eventually said, okay, we'll just license it, just go publish it, license it, and everybody kind of went on their way. So years later, I have this producing partner in London who I was telling you about, who used to run the Hope Mill Theatre in Manchester, and she said to me on one of my visits out there, she said, I love all the shows that you've been involved with. She goes, that's like my taste exactly, because she had done like Hair, and she had done that, and she had done, she loved Aspects of Love, like everything I liked. She said, I want to do a production of Yank. Would you want to do it with me? And I said, absolutely, in a heartbeat. So we did Yank over there at the Charing Cross Theatre. So I was, I went out there and I got to see it over there. And then we had a reunion right before the shutdown. And Yank has been done, I think it's been in Brazil, Australia, London, New York. It's probably been in a few other places too, but those are the 4 main cities. So we did a really lovely evening at 54 Below, and the casts from all over the world, from all those 4 places, came to that night, and they all sang different songs from it. So it wasn't just one cast; it was like all the casts were singing. And then we went out afterward, and we just had such a nice time. I got to know the London people a bit while I was over there seeing the show, so it was a nice little reunion. And then of course we shut down very shortly thereafter, but it was fun. I think Yank is going to have a life ahead of it. I would really like to see that back again. And these years that have passed, right? It's now 11 years since Yank was on. People's tastes have changed, and what people have a appetite for. I really do think that there's an audience for Yank these days. So we'll get cracking on that as soon as we're able.
We mentioned earlier the great Comet, and speaking of Comet, we have a comment from Robin. I joined you late. Did you speak of the great Comet? Jim and I were both producers on that. Robin Newman. Tuned in and watching. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah, we did mention a bit before. That was my immersive year. I was immersive in that year. But boy, it was a great Comet. A lot of fun. That was some show. That was an undertaking. I remember walking into the Imperial Theater when they were doing the construction to like rip the theater apart, basically. And I looked, oh my God, how did they figure this out? Either this is going to be incredible or it's going to be a hot mess. And it was incredible.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
It's incredible what they can do. Absolutely. They mentioned, of course, Dreamgirls. That's another.
Dreamgirls. Yeah, we got to do that in London. Henry Krieger, who wrote it, is he was the composer of Sideshow. I got to meet him all those years ago, and we've been friends to this day. And when Dreamgirls popped up, I was like, well, I love Dreamgirls, I love Henry, and I love London, so I'm over there. So
you're all set. And then, of course, Night of the Living Dead, the musical.
Oh my God, yes, that was fun. That was Katie's idea, and I was, of course, jumping on board that because I love Night of the Living Dead, and it was it was the real version of it. It wasn't some strange knockoff. So they did this cool musical. And Katie and I did Unexpected Joy over there right around that time too. We did it here off Broadway in New York, and then we did it in London later that year. It was maybe like 5 months later. We did it. So it was fun to have it in both places.
That's incredible. Aspects of Love.
That was with Katie also over there. Yep, that was at the Southwark Playhouse too. I don't know if everybody's seen Aspects of Love or knows it, but I remember seeing that when I was probably like 20 years old, 20 or 20 years old when it was on Broadway at the Broadhurst Theater.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. I thought it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen because it was right after Phantom, right? So Phantom was on. It took Broadway by storm. You couldn't get a ticket. People were loving it. And then Lloyd Webber was the toast of the town. And then all of a sudden, the following year, Aspects of Love comes out. So everybody was super excited because it was Andrew Lloyd Webber. And they go to see the show and they're like, what? What is the show? Because it's nothing like Phantom of the Opera. It's like the total opposite kind of a show. So it didn't last very long, but it made a really lasting impression on me. I loved it. And I think if you took Aspects of Love for what it was, it's interesting because it's almost like an audiobook. Like I got to love Aspects of Love by listening to the CDs in my car on long trips because you can just get the whole story. It's all sung through. You can get the whole story from listening to it. The music is glorious. It's really nice. It's a very interesting story based on a novel. So it was one of my favorites. So when Katie told me she loved Aspects of Love, I was like, yeah, of course, let's do that. So it was a pretty production.
What was it like when you got that very first Tony?
Oh God, that was some night, because that was the night of Kinky Boots and Pippin, and they were back to back. So here I am, and of course, I thought maybe the Revival of musical. I didn't remember exactly the order, so I thought maybe Revival of musical was maybe like 20 minutes before the end of the night, and then there were maybe a couple more, and then it would be like Best Musical at the very end. But it wasn't. I kept waiting for Best Revival, and it was like we're getting up to the very end of the show, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to do Best Revival and Best Musical right next to each other. So, and I didn't know if I would win, right? Obviously, but I was hoping I'd win one of them. I mean, they're pretty popular shows. So I said, gosh, what am I going to do? I said, I'm in this seat, and if I get called for Pippin, I'm going to run up there, and then we're going to have to go backstage to the press room, and then I'm not going to be at my seat if we happen to win Kinky Boots. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't go up if we win and wait for Kinky Boots. But I said, but then we might not win Kinky Boots, and then I wouldn't have gotten up on stage at all, and that would be terrible. So I turned to this woman next to me, and I was the only one in Kinky Boots who was part of both Pippin and Kinky Boots. So I was the only one with this strange problem. So I said,
what a dilemma to have, huh?
Very, very first world problem, yeah. So I said to this woman next to me, I said, what should I do? She goes, if you win Pippin, go up. She said, just go up there. I said, okay. So we won Pippin. So I excused myself out of this row of people. I run up on the stage, and then I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just ask them if I could wait in the wings. And then that way, if we win, I could just come out on the stage. I won't go to the press room. So that'll maybe be the solution. So we go back we leave the stage after Pippin, and I asked the person, I said, well, I'm nominated for Kinky Boots. I said, could I just wait here? And she's like, oh yeah, just stand over there. Just don't stand in the way. I was like, okay. Well, the fun part was that Kinky Boots was the last musical that performed their number on the Tony Awards. So it turned out the cast of Kinky Boots was standing in the wings also watching the monitor. So I was thinking I was going to be like alone in the wings like while this was happening, and I got to go over with the cast, and we watched the little closed caption monitor of the show. And then Bernadette Peters gets up and she announces that Kinky Boots won, and I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe it. So I just stood there waiting for like Dower Roth and Hal Luftig to come. I didn't want to walk on the stage before them. That would have been horrible. But so I just waited for them to all get up, and then I walked out, and it was just a great night. It was a really, really special night. Probably one of the top nights of my life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Congratulations too. Well earned by all involved. Absolutely. Because to pull off, any kind of a show, especially a Broadway show, and day after day after day after day, and just revving everybody up to day after day, it's extraordinary the amount of so many people talk about that when they've done movies and other things, the endurance it takes on so many different levels to do a Broadway or off-Broadway show. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It really is. It really is. There's a lot of people involved. It really takes a village.
Yeah. And now you've also come into the television world, which I love, of course, and The Bay, the series. Tell us about being involved in that.
Yeah, the Bay is like one of those very interesting things. I got to know one of the stars of the Bay. I'm trying to see if he's in the picture. Yes, there he is. That's Eric. He's the guy on the right, fourth back. So there's an older man. There's a guy with blondish hair. That's Eric.
Yeah.
Eric's been in that show from the beginning. I think there's been about 6 seasons of it.
Yeah.
And Eric always raved about the Bay, and I adore Eric and his wife. They're like two of the sweetest people. And I'm always very supportive of what he does. And then he said to me, would you like to talk to the creators of the show? There's the one creator, and then his very good friend is also in the Bay. I'm trying to see if he's in that picture. I don't think he is for some reason. Anyway, so when I started talking about it, he said, would you like to be a co-producer on it? Would you like to be a producer on it for the season coming up? And I said, I would. I said, I'd love to be part of it. I said, I think it's a cool show. I love streaming series. I think it's a great, outlet. I think it's new, it's modern. I love Eric. I love the story. So I did it, and we won an Emmy Award for it. So that was a lot of fun. It's a real award-winning show. They do a beautiful job on it. And anyway, so I've done a bunch of other things with Eric as well. They're working on a new Black Lives Matter type of a movie right now. So we're working on that together. That's going to come out pretty soon.
Congratulations on this and the timing of this. We are, I think, 1 degree of separation here with the last name Kierstead. Again, my mother's grandmother's side of the family, that's their name, and they founded that town and that mountain up in New Brunswick, Canada, the Kierstead family. So if you dig in, we might have some family relation, because it's not a common name that you hear. So that's one. And then some of the other folks that we've talked about. And then Kevin Spiritus in After Forever. He was just on the show. Maybe we had him as a guest 2 weeks ago. And he was talking about this. He got quite emotional, of course, because of the loss.
Yes, the loss.
Yeah. And it was right. As a matter of fact, when he was a guest on the show here, that was just announced, the special recognition honor. And so congratulations to, all of you, everybody involved in this. What was it like being involved in After Forever with Kevin and everybody?
Well, Kevin is another one who I know for a bunch of years, and we call each other Leo because we actually both have the same birthday. Yeah. We're both Leos. We're both born on July 29th. So we have that in common. And I just find him such a happy spirit. We're always like,
it really is, yeah.
A great time. So when he was doing this, I went to an early reading of it, and I was like, of course I'll do this. This is fabulous. So I've been involved with the last couple seasons. They just did a little mini series, not a mini series, but a little mini one about COVID. It's about, there's a little show, and it takes place on his summer vacation where he takes like a little a video. He does like a video. So I was part of that as well with them. So it was a lot of fun. So we won the what did we win?
The GLAAD, the 32nd annual GLAAD Media Award.
Yes, we won Indie Series Awards for that. That's won a couple of Emmys. He's won a lot of Emmys for the writing and for being in it. So it's been a fun one. Yeah.
Most people know him also from Days of Our Lives and from the soaps, of course. Kevin,
yeah, he was Hugh Jackman's understudy for Boy from Oz, if you didn't know that.
That's right. Here's another one, Between Love and Goodbye.
Yes.
You were involved in that.
Well, you said something before that I was really impressed with when you mentioned in the beginning when you were reading the credits. You mentioned Kiss Me, Kill Me. And I was like, and it sounded like you knew of that show, which I was impressed with because you knew Gail Harold was in it.
Gail Harold, yeah.
So this is Between Love and Goodbye and a bunch of other things I've been involved with. It's because of writer, director, producer Casper Andreas, who's a good friend of mine for many years now. We probably are friends for, I don't know, probably 15 plus years. And he is Swedish, and he is an incredible person and an incredible writer and director, producer. And when I got to know him, he was, just somebody who was turning it out. He was turning out really good material. He was doing it on a shoestring. He was doing these gay indie films. And back in the day, like 15 years ago, not as much now, but back in the day, you could go and you had a special market because you would create DVDs, and then people all over the country who couldn't get content like that would buy them. And if buying a DVD is much different than streaming something, right? There's a much higher price point that you can charge. Streaming is like pennies on the dollar. If you're putting on Amazon or Netflix or one of those things, you're really not making very much money. But if you're selling a physical representation of the piece, then you're actually getting a good amount of money, and you can recoup your investment, and you can get a profit pretty quickly. So he had this little kind of cottage industry going where he would churn out these little films, and then he'd sell them to all over the country, all over the world, and he'd make money for his investors. So the last couple that he did, he hasn't really been able to do that because they don't buy DVDs anymore. People stream, and that's not a good revenue stream. You know, it's really strange how that happens. But anyway, so I've been very supportive of him over the years and all of his work. So he's, you know, a very good friend, and I think a smart guy.
That's really cool.
He Kill Me was his also. And we had another one called Violent Tendencies, and that was with Mindy Cohen from The Facts of Life.
Oh, yeah, Mindy. Yeah, I remember Mindy well. Yes, you mentioned that other one with Gail Harold. What was it like being a part of that one?
It was interesting. That was probably the most glitzy, high-budget one that Casper's done that I'm aware of, and it was very slick. It was very like Hollywood, and it took place on all these locations, these like, you know, very expensive houses on hilltops that they knew people, I guess, who lived in, and they got the locations. So they didn't spend a lot of money on the locations, but it was like a much more you know, high-level looking film. The other ones were a little grittier. A lot of them were New York. They borrow a bar for the day and film at a bar or somebody's old crummy apartment or something. But,
an old warehouse in Brooklyn or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it was fun. It was an interesting show.
Yeah. Cool. Here's another one too. Now this is Mulligan.
Yes.
Tell us about this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a producing partner named Ashley Kate Adams, and she and I have been friends for, you know, quite a number of years. We really got to know each other because she did a play. She was producing a play called The Dodgers, and it was about the draft dodgers during the Vietnam War.
Oh yeah.
And I had seen a reading of it, and I was very impressed. She had like all these cool people in it. She had like Finn Wittrock and Billy Magnuson, and you know, just a cool cast that she put together. It was at the Davenport when that used to be a theater. She did a reading there, and I was like, cool. And I left, and it was something like that wasn't quite right with the piece, but it was very promising. I was like, I really like this. I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
So they were getting ready to do it in Hollywood. They were doing it in like this little theater called the Hudson Theater. It was like maybe a 99-seat theater out there. And she called me and she said, you know, would you come have a drink with me? And I said, sure. She goes, I want to tell you about my project. I was like, yeah, sure. So we sat together, and she was like, really, I think it's just a really energetic young woman. And it made me so happy that she had this project and she was doing it, and she was trying to raise money and doing all that stuff. So she said, you know, would you be part of it? Would you invest with me? I was like, I'm not going to just invest. I said, but I'll be a partner with you on it if you want. I said, I would like to be a part of it because I think it needs a little work, and it would be fun to work together to see what we can do with this. And she was like, yeah, totally, absolutely, let's do it. So we did that. We had an amazing time out in California working on that piece. You know, it was done on a shoestring, comparatively speaking. I mean, it was still nothing in theaters cheap, but it wasn't horribly expensive. And it was just such an interesting thing to do in California because LA theater is so different than New York theater. You know, people, there's a little bit of a different sensibility when it comes to theater, but we had a great time, and then we kept developing it. And unfortunately, the playwright passed away within the last couple of years, so we really haven't been involved with it. But it was fun. It was a really interesting piece, and we had a great time. So Mulligan is her project also. So we worked on that together. It's a film, and her boyfriend at the time had written it. He's actually a PGA golf pro, and this is a story about a PGA golf pro, this really big, almost like a Tiger Woods person, who falls in to like a drug addiction. He ends up going to prison for a couple of years, and the show begins with him getting out of prison and going back to his family's golf range that they own and operate in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is where Patrick is from. So this pilot of the series, and we had a really terrific time doing it, and it's pretty, and we did it on a shoestring also, but it was a lot of fun to do.
Really cool. Here's another one here too. I mean, the scope of what you're involved in. Here's
my God, one of my favorite projects ever. So I've known Alex Wise for a number of years, and Wes Taylor, and I really know Alex's parents because I'm on the board of the New York Theater Barn with Joe Barros and that whole bunch over there who are so talented and terrific.
Joe was on, yeah.
Yeah. And Alex's parents were the president and vice president of the board for many years. So they had spoken to me, and I got to know Joe maybe like 6-7 years ago. And I ended up going on the board of the barn, and I got to know him better. And I got to know Denise and Rob, the parents of Alex. So one day, like a couple of years ago, they write to me. Well, Rob, the father, writes to me. He said, "You know, Alex is working on this little web series with Wes, and would you be interested in taking a look? They're about to do season 2." And I was like, "Oh God!" It's one of those moments where like, I don't know if I have time to look at this. Everybody's making a web series these days. It could be really bad, you know. But like, of course I'll look at it. You know, if I don't want to do it, I'll just say I'm kind of busy right now. So he sends it to me. And I looked and I'm like, oh, it's like maybe 10 episodes and they were like 5 minutes each, like 4 or 5 minutes each. I was like, well, I can watch that. We'll get to watch the whole thing in under an hour. So I was like, you know, how bad can it be? So I start watching it and I was like, this is fun. This is really smart. And again, by the time I got to like number 6, I was like, I'm in. They've got me. This is awesome. So I said, I will absolutely be part of this. So we did season 2, which was super fun. And then we won it's funny, we won the Indie Series Award for After Forever for Best Drama, and we won for Indoor Boys for the Best Comedy Series. So we won that, and then we won that again, actually. We won that 2 years in a row. So then we did the 3rd season, the 3rd year, and that was released maybe like a year and a half ago. So that won that award as well. So I love that show, and it just got picked up by Here. So it's now streaming on a legitimate platform, which makes us very happy. We always thought it could be like a full, you know, blown series. Maybe it will someday, but I think for now, Indoor Boys is completed. I think they're going to go on to do some other things, and we'll see, you know, if interest grows. Sometimes when these things go on another platform, it reinvigorates the interest for it. So we'll see what the life of Indoor Boys is. But regardless, it's a great show in and of itself. I really recommend people watch it. It's so funny.
Sparkler
was a piece where I went to a festival. It was like a one-act play festival downtown. Like it was like, you know, I'm in Hell's Kitchen, and it's like the Lower East Side. So, you know, the farthest possible place you could go. And a friend of mine said, "You want to come to this play festival?" One of her friends was in one of these plays. It was like going to be 3 plays that night, back to back, all by the same writer. I said, "Sure, let's do it. We'll go have a little dinner." It was pouring rain. We go down. We're late. It was horrible getting there. So we're going in, and they held the play for us because we were late. And I was like, I'm so embarrassed. But they held it for us. We went in. We sat there. This was the first play. It was like it's a full-length play. Well, it wasn't a full-length play at the time. It was only like 15, 20 minutes. And it was in this thing, and then there were like 2 more 15, 20-minute plays. But this one, I saw it, and I was blown away. And I said, I love this story. I really love the story. It's like about a Rock Hudson type character who's got a Hollywood wife who he's been paired up with the studio, and he's got a secret boyfriend on the side, and he's got this crazy. Well, actually, in this, there was only a 3-character play when I first saw it, but I loved it. And they just did this really special snippet. So afterward, I said to my friend, I said, "Do you know this playwright?" And she's like, "Yeah, I know him." I said, "Would you introduce me?" So I talked to him, and I said, "Would you be interested?" I said, "I love your play, Sparkler." I said, "Would you be interested in developing it into a full-length play, like full-length 90-minute play?" And he's like, yeah. So we started having regular meetings, and we talked about what it would be like, what would he do, and he talked about adding another character to it, who would be the agent, and we discussed who that person would be. So actually, the agent is a real-life, very, very famous talent agent in Hollywood at the time, and the other 3 characters are fictitious. They're all kind of like composites of people. So the Rock Hudson character, his name's Clayton in this show. So he's like a Rock Hudson, a Tab Hunter, and also maybe a Tom Cruise. The woman, she's like a Patty Duke, maybe a Katie Holmes type of a person. So it's kind of interesting the way that it all worked out. So we eventually did that, and I did a reading of that. I guess it's like going on 2 years ago. We did a reading of it, an industry reading, and Alan Cumming played the agent. Eric Bergen played the Clayton, the hunk, the Hollywood hunk. Christy Altamere, who played Anastasia on Broadway, played the woman. And then we had Garrett Clayton, who's an LA guy. He's been in a lot of stuff. He was in Hairspray Live and whatnot. So he played the young boyfriend. So we had a really nice turnout for that. In fact, it was too good of a turnout because it was like the air conditioning wasn't on yet because it was like one of those March days where they didn't put the air conditioning on the building.
Yeah.
And I thought people were going to die. I thought they were going to like pass out in the room because there were so many people in that room. They were not too pleased with me. But anyway, the reading went off pretty well other than that.
That's cool. I think I recall at that gathering after the visit, Alan Cumming was there that night during all of this. If I remember, he popped in to, I guess, congratulate and say hello to everybody, which was a surprise. Yeah,
I love Alan. He's great. So talented.
He hosts Masterpiece on PBS as well. He does a great job with that. I think that the original, remember the original host of Masterpiece on Alistair Cook?
Yeah.
Alan Cook. Here's another special night in your life.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, that was such a nice night. Because it was something I loved, you know, it's like when you really love the show and it gets rewarded, like it means like other people appreciate it like you do. And that made me so happy that it was Hadestown. Because, you know, I had won the 2 Tonys that year in 2013, but I hadn't won another one since. So this was a nice surprise that night. I wasn't too surprised because I felt like that. It felt like it had the vibe going for it, but it was nice.
Wasn't there a drama desk recently too?
Yes, there it is. That's it in the middle. That's for the inheritance.
Are we good or what?
You got it all. Yep, you got all the pictures.
I do my journalistic research.
I'm impressed. Yeah, you got everything.
Got everything.
I feel like this is your life. I feel like I'm on this.
Kind of like that, isn't it? What we do too on the show, which is kind of fun. We kind of like Edward R. Murrow used to do on CBS News years ago when he had that show. I think it's Person to Person. He was sitting in that chair with a cigarette, the big screen. And now we're at the home of, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, or now we're going to the home in Hollywood of Jerry Lewis and family. So now we're here with Jim Kierstead. Tell us about the room you're in and what we're seeing. There's, of course, a nice lineup of fabulous awards to the left of you there. Tell us a little bit about the room that you're in right now. The viewers love that.
Oh, sure. Well, you're probably seeing something I've got piled up over there. It's like old posters, old theater posters and stuff. But other than that, this is my study. So when I moved into this apartment, I was like, oh, I just want a separate study that could be like a guest room or, where I have my desk and all that. Never did I expect that I would be spending like every single day here for 12 hours a day for like a year. That was the last thing I ever expected. I thought, oh, if I happen to work from home one day, I'll just have my desk. And if, people stay over, they'll have a guest room. So anyway, this is this. And when the pandemic hit, I've been in this apartment for 4 years now, and I was kind of like, all right, I'm going to put things up, but I'm not going to put anything up that I don't really love. So strangely enough, 4 years passes and you're busy, and then you have blank walls, right? You're just like, oh my God, I still have these blank walls in my living room and whatnot. So in the beginning, I'd be sitting there with my cocktail at night, and I'd be looking around my apartment and seeing blank walls. So I bought like a lot of art. I got lamps. I got like just everything, and I put up some award certificates, and I just really kind of. The apartment's not quite finished yet. There's still I still want to put some stuff up on some of these side walls that you can't really see. But anyway, I kind of finished a lot of stuff that I should have been doing for a while. So this is my study, and that's where I keep my awards over there. But the funny part is that's where they've always been. People are like, oh, you have your awards on the camera. I'm like, well, I didn't really put them there for that reason. That's just kind of a shelf in this little room in my apartment where they live. So anyway, they just happen to be there in the background with my Zooms.
With your Zooms, right? I got a zoom. Really well earned. When you look at this, you have some other projects too that you're working on, right? You mentioned the Beyond Virtual. You mentioned Margarita Live. What are some other cool things that you have that are in the works and maybe on the Jim Kierstead bucket list of things you'd love to do and love to be a part of, and maybe collaborate, certain people you'd love to collaborate with as well, Jim?
Sure. Well, right now, I've been a little bit immersed with the whole Broadway Virtual business. So I've been working on that like big time. I've been enjoying that very much, but it's a lot. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of stress. And it's interesting working for clients like that, because you're working for with people who are from like a not-for-profit world or from an organization, and they're relying on you to put together their benefit or their award ceremony or whatever it is in this digital format. And they really don't know anything about the technology, and they don't really know anything about the filming end of it. They're used to maybe doing a benefit in person, but they're not used to doing it filmed. And we don't do live stuff. I mean, we will do live components, but I don't really believe in it because the technology can be very wonky. And then you've got all this riding on this night, and you don't want that to be a mess, right? That would be horrible if something goes wrong in the middle of all that. So everybody wants to do it live. Everybody's like, I want to do it live. I'm like, no, we're going to record it and edit it and make it gorgeous, and you're going to prove it, and then we're going to sit back and enjoy it and stream it that night. They're like, well, I like it to be live. I'm like, the only way anybody's going to know it's not live, or the only way they're going to know it's live, is if somebody's video goes out in the middle of it and it's
right.
So there's no way they're going to know. You can pretend it's live if you want to, right? Like, just leave it recorded, and then you'll have it for posterity. You'll be able to like keep it in your archives for promo. You'll be much happier. And we always convince them of that, and then they thank us up and down that we convinced them of that, because they're like, thank God I didn't do it live, because they see what goes into this. So anyway, I've been spending a lot of time on that, but I've also got a lot of other, fun projects. I had written a play, the one that we were talking about before. They were doing a reading of it tonight at the Humanity Project, and I just popped on there to say hi to them a little bit before seeing you guys. And they've optioned a friend of mine, my business partner and dear friend Willie Fernandez. He's we do a lot of work in Miami because he's based down there and up here. So when I mentioned these shows, we did a show called Amparo, which was about the Cuban Revolution. It was an immersive show about the Cuban Revolution that we were paid to executive produce by Bacardi. So they created this show as a promo piece for their brand Havana Club Rum. And Havana Club Rum was originally in Cuba. It was originally Havana. And when Castro came into power, they did what they did, and they took the recipe away. These people got exiled. They ended up going to Puerto Rico, and that's why Bacardi was originally a Cuban company, but they are based in Puerto Rico now. So they created this new version of Havana Club Rum, which was the original recipe, because the one in Cuba, which everybody knew about, got changed a lot over the years. So they went back to the original recipe. So there's always this kind of like competitiveness between the real brand that's belongs to Bacardi and the brand that's in Cuba, called Havana Club Rum. So they've been pushing this, and in order to push that brand, they said, let's make this immersive show about the Cuban Revolution, and we'll make it all about the people who created the Havana Club Rum, and how when they left the country to start anew, that becomes the end of the show. And then everybody has like a party afterward, drinking all these great rum cocktails. So we produced that for them down there in an old villa in downtown Miami. So as a result of it, we got to know these guys who work in the area, and we formed a new production company with them called Elevated Entertainment. And our first project is this Margarita live show that we're doing. So that should be up probably in Miami in the summer. And then hopefully we'll work the kinks out of it down there and get it all over the place, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Unlike Bacardi, right? The Havana Club one, it's like about people going in jail and getting shot, right?
Right.
Not the Cuban Revolution. So this one's going to be just fun. So we're working on that. I had written a play called Borrowed, the one I was telling you about, and they've optioned that for a film. They're going to do a film version of it in Spanish. So I'm like, gosh, my play didn't even get on a stage, or an English film version, but it's going to have a Spanish version. Yeah, so that'll be really interesting to see that happen. So we've got that, and just a bunch of other projects. I love just to keep an eye on these two guys. One of the guys was in my reading. We did a virtual reading of Borrowed some months back. And one of the guys with his writing partner, they wrote a story. It's a 75-minute play, 2 characters, and it's based, it's like a post-COVID play. It's like slightly post-COVID. And when people talk about, COVID plays, like about this pandemic, I'm like, keep away from me. I don't want to see that play. I don't want to see anything about COVID again. But what I like about it is it's not really about COVID. It just takes place in a time period that is past COVID. It's just like a little bit past COVID. So it's sort of looking at things like, we're not pretending that this whole mess didn't happen, but we're not focusing on that as the story of the play. So I'm working with them on that to develop a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just lots of stuff. When they pop up, I kind of know what I like, and I kind kind of try to go for those things.
What are some things that continue to, delight you and give you that passion and inspiration to continue being involved in the creative arts in the theater world and television and film as well? Obviously, you enjoy it and you have the ability to pick and choose the projects that you truly believe in and want to be a part of. What are some of those things that continue to give you that inspiration, that juice to stay in it and continue creating for all of us?
Thank you. I really like supporting young artists. I think that that's one of my most important things. I love the drive that people have and the creativity that they have. And this business is really hard sometimes, right? In fact, most of the time it's really hard. The success rate of playwrights and actors and other people in this world are not that high, right? It's a low success rate. So, when you see people who work hard and who you really believe in and you like what they've done, I love to jump in there and help them with that. And, a lot of times I'm fortunate because I come from a business background. So I know how to project manage, and now I kind of know how to raise money to some extent, and I know how to put projects together. And a lot of times they need that, right? It's not that often. I find them sometimes, and I'm always really impressed that they wear both hats. But a lot of times creative people need that extra help to make things happen. They need the business help and they need the financial help. And that's something I really enjoy guiding and helping them, because I think that, I come to the table with a pretty good knowledge of theater just for no other reason than having seen so many shows over the years and thinking about them and dissecting them and then working on my own stuff and developing it and really trying to peel that onion and carve that piece out of there. So if I can sit there and help give an outside perspective, and I'm also very respectful of artists and their work. So I never want to tell somebody, you better write this thing, because I'm feeling as if I'm going to tell them to write something that's different than they've got, then I shouldn't be a part of that project. They should write whatever they want to write. But if I can see something that I like and say, I think this could use clarification, or this moment doesn't feel real to me, that's helpful notes as far as I'm concerned to give a playwright. So that's what I'll, do. And I feel like I can help people, in that respect and support their work. So that's what I like. And that can take any form, right? It could take people who have a show that's going on Broadway that, needs to be seen. That could be something that's super commercial, but is touching. Like, I don't think I would ever do a show that didn't have some real art behind it, right? It could be, there's this whole art meets commerce thing. And I think that for commercial theater, you have to have those two components, or some things are missed, right? You can't just do things that are never going to make money. And for me, I don't like to do things that are just going to make money, but we don't know anyway it's going to make money, right? It's like, it's always an inexact science. So just because you think it could be a hit doesn't mean it will. So I don't want to do something just based on that when it doesn't have some really good redeeming artistic component to it.
Are you ever torn between the two worlds sometimes? Either there's that ability to, it's going to be a hit, you're going to make the money, or this might not make the money, but what a beautiful, incredible story and project this is. Does it ever become a tough teeter-totter to balance? It's not a hard teeter-totter. It's not a tough teeter-totter, but the thing about it is I will do things that are artistic and not commerce related if I really believe in it. Like in Decent, when that went on Broadway, I said, I have to be a part of that. I had seen it down at the Vineyard. I fell in love with that show. There was no way that I couldn't be a part of that show. Even The Inheritance, right? I mean, it wasn't really financially successful, but it was so special. I was like, I have to be part of that show. That's like, I would be so upset if I wasn't part of it. So that I will probably do, but I don't know that if somebody said to me, this is a piece of junk show and we think it's going to make a lot of money, I might not do it. Because if it didn't make a lot of money, and again, there's no guarantee. Like if somebody signed this document and said, like, you're guaranteed you're going to make this money, or I'll give you your money back, maybe I would do it. But there's no guarantee. We never know what's going to be a hit and what's not. It's just, there's no exact science, because otherwise people would just do hits and never do flops. So, I probably wouldn't do that if that didn't have some redeeming artistic quality. But I do like to find something where there's the commerce and the art in one package. And, there's enough projects out there that you can usually find that if you look hard enough. What would you say to somebody who's considering going into this line of work, going into specifically maybe theater, whether it's from, a production side or the talent side? I know a lot of people that I've chatted with have said, well, gee, if you're 50% thinking about being an accountant, 50% thinking about going into the arts, be the accountant because that means you really have to love it. You really have to eat it and breathe it and live it if you're going into any of these fields, because of the sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tears, the demands, the hours, the sacrifice that's involved in all of it, that sometimes not everybody realizes until they're in the thick of it. They see the glamour of it. They see the glitz of it. They see the 2-minute headline on television about it, but not necessarily knowing everything that's totally involved. And once you're immersed, you got to be all in and passionate about it, right?
Yes, yes. Well, I love that you asked me that question, because I do get asked that question a lot. So if somebody said to me that they wanted to do this, I'd say, don't quit your day job. Like I would really say that. And I've talked to so many people who want to be like a co-producer on Broadway and raise money for these shows and whatnot. And they're young and they're like, that's going to be my career. And I'm like, no, don't do that as your career. Because if you get some really big hits, yeah, and you could make kind of a living on it, but I do it for the contacts, and I do it for the credits, and I do it to learn and to get involved. And then I can do my own pieces, right? So it adds to my resume and my credibility by doing some of these other things. But that's not, and some people do it for social reasons, right? But to my knowledge, like there's some big lead producers on Broadway who make a nice living, right? And they've got some big hits under their belts, so they can make a living off of that. But as a co-producer, I don't really know people who make a full living off of being a co-producer, even though it sounds like you should be able to, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm producing Broadway shows and they're hits and they're winning Tony Awards and all this stuff. It's not really that. I haven't noticed that. Most people who are co-producers on Broadway, or producers for that matter, tend to be people who have money from some other source, right? Either their husband works, or their wife works, or they've got a job, or they've done whatever, right? Wherever they get their money from, they're not really getting it from these projects.
Or the grandfather left it in a trust fund. Or
yeah, there's lots of that. Sure, there's everything, and it's fun. I mean, it's a fun, high-profile, very visible thing to do, and it's social, right? It's like you kind of get to know everybody after a while. You're going to parties all the time. You're going to shows. Who doesn't want to do that? But that's not the same thing as earning a proper living. So I always caution people about that. Regarding actors, oh my gosh, like I have this one friend, and she wanted to be an actor on Broadway in the worst way. And I didn't have the heart to say this, right? Because nobody wants to say this to somebody, but she was okay, right? She was a competent actor, but she wasn't a Broadway star. She wasn't somebody and she wasn't getting any jobs ever. Like it was so rare. And her parents were paying for her to live in New York, and she was having little side jobs. But if you have too many side jobs, like you're not really able to just go on all your auditions because you're worried about your job too much. So finally, when she was getting very discouraged, I said to her, because she felt like she was a failure in some way, right? Like I think that people feel like I just spent 5 years of my life going on auditions, living off my parents. I quit now. What did I just do? I just wasted 5 years. And my thing to them is, I always say to them, what made you want to be an actor to begin with? Like, what was it? And they say, oh, I loved it. I was a kid and I was in the school play and I was having such a good time and it was wonderful. And I felt so good on that stage and all this stuff. I said, absolutely. I said, that's terrific. I said, how good do you feel that you can't pay your rent? And how good do you feel that you can't go out for dinner without worrying about like where you're going to go and how that's going to work? I said, does acting feel as good for you now that you're relying on it for your livelihood? I said, be an actor in a local production. Go to classes, like do something like that. You can have fulfillment doing that. I said, an acting education is very valuable. It's like a psychology education in a way. You learn a lot about how to comport yourself, how to interview better, how to talk to people. And I said, but if you keep doing what you're doing, I said, you're going to now not be a 30-year-old who can't pay their rent. You're going to be like a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old, and then where will you be? And she ended up going into another career, and she kind of does acting type things on the side. Like she's, there's a lot that she does that brings this world into it, and she's still a big fan, but she's able to pay her rent and she has a great life. So every time she does something that involves the theater, it brings her joy rather than brings her anxiety about not being able to earn a living. So I think give it a try if that's what you want to do. Throw yourself into it 100%, engage it, always measure it and say, like, am I getting jobs? Am I booking the jobs ever? Or am I never booking the jobs?
Right.
Like, never doing it, maybe time to look for something else. And you have to be a little bit honest and real about that, rather than just keep going down the wrong road for too long, because it's, you've got one life, so you don't want to be miserable.
So you've been able to balance it all out in a structured way that you have joy in all that you're doing, huh?
Yeah, I'm exhausted all the time, but I have
Yeah.
an IT career for lots of years, so that allows me to do my theater stuff. Now it's been fun with Broadway Virtual, as I've been able to, make a little bit of money doing that. I mean, not not a full-time living, but certainly it's making money instead of spending money, which is
instead of
great.
spending it. Well, you know who's been joining us this evening, Jim, and it's been a great opportunity for him to, not that he needed to learn anything, but he just enjoyed himself, is George Burns.
Oh my God, there's George Burns. Yeah, hi George.
With his cigar and all. He's one of our cast of characters here on the Jim Master Show Live. He really, really is. So this has been terrific. It's been enlightening for a lot of people. And then, of course, celebrating your contributions to the theater world, and of course, dabbling in television and film. And obviously, you've got a solid background. Again, for those of you joining late, I love the clinical psychology aspect of what you also are involved in your life. I think it's very cool. It's an interesting, you're definitely using right brain, left brain for all of these things you're involved in. Because each of these areas, usually, it's pinpointed to one section of the brain, they say, but you've got it all well-rounded. And it's something that obviously, if you weren't all in yourself, Jim, you wouldn't be doing any of this and spend all these years doing it. So it's been really amazing chatting with you. I think the audience has learned a lot. We've had an opportunity to remind them of some of the incredible projects and productions you've been involved in, some of the current ones. I hope that, once we get past all this COVID and everything, we get a chance to maybe meet in person and break bread. That would be really cool. I would really enjoy that, maybe in the city or what have you.
Love to.
That would be a pleasure. I don't know if you have anything there to drink, but we toast you. And
I know we were having cocktails. I would have brought a cocktail to this meeting. I was like, cocktail at the beginning. I was like,
they didn't tell you this is a high class operation.
I love it. I would have had a martini while you were doing that.
Well, the Emmys and the Tonys to the left of you, that equates. They're standing tall and proud as well. I salute you, my friend, and thanks again for all of the incredible contributions that you've made and continue to make in the arts. It is not gone unnoticed. It's duly noted, and we wish you nothing but continued success. And the Lovities are chiming in, and they're all saying hello. They're all saying thanks for being with us. Maureen here, you're an absolutely amazing person. Jim, congratulations on the stellar career you've had thus far. Best wishes for years and years of continued success.
Thank you, Maureen.
Very nicely said. Gary, who's in Iowa. Jim, thank you for spending your evening with us. Kathy in Cleveland, thank you, Jim and Jim. Great conversation tonight. Mary Bishop in Florida says, thanks, Jim. It was great. Bernadette Vidal says, thank you, Jim. Kierstead, we enjoy your stories. And Jennifer Barry, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Hi, Jim and Jim. Really cool. And I think it's great when, you have all these people who just chime in and say these fantastic things like this. Somebody asked, I think maybe it was Merlin in Ontario, Canada. She goes, ciao, it's been great. Thank you, Jim K. Take care. If you prefer musical productions, dramatic productions, comedic, in musicals, you can have all of the above. But is there any one genre that immediately calls to you, Jim?
I like them all, but honestly, I'm a musical theater guy. That's really near and dear to my heart. I could go see plays a couple of times, but I could see a musical like 20 times, 30 times. Oh, Kinky Boots probably like 60 times, I would say. I never got old. I would go over and over again.
That's it. And Wozniak says, thank you, Jim, for this amazing evening. You are very interesting. So they found you very fascinating as well. I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, my friend, and that we will keep the porch light on for you. You're welcome back to the show and the series anytime. Let's stay in touch. Keep me posted on some of these. I'm fascinated by some of these cool things. I'd love to check out and be a part of some of these cool things that you're working on.
Yeah.
So definitely keep me posted. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, Jim.
I did. I had a great time. This was really, really wonderful. And what a nice, warm audience you have. And it's so diverse, too, all over the place. That's exciting. Nice
It
book.
is. Yeah, I try to make it, even in my professional work in television, I try to make it a warm, inviting, conversational, free-flowing atmosphere. And I think that's when people get a chance to emote and, really celebrate the work and do it in a way that brings everybody in. And I think that's what's really important. So you're amazing, my friend. A couple more comments coming in here. Sarah Brightman told me that once when I interviewed her on public television. She was talking about how we were on live television, and she, is so classically trained and so well versed in what she does, and every move is exacting and everything, classically trained. And we were in a live television studio where I was going to interview her nationally on PBS for her Symphony in Vienna special, which was fantastic. And they had us do the conversation live with a very busy studio, nationally broadcast. And after the segments were done live, she pulled me aside and she had said something just like what you were saying. She said, "Oh my God, I didn't know what was happening. This isn't normally I'm usually on stage and we're rehearsed. And this was live television, phones ringing, very busy, chaotic, as television can be as well sometimes, but thrilling and exciting. And I love every second of it, especially when it is live." And she said, "I needed to thank you because you made me feel at ease and so comfortable that I told you things and I emoted in ways that I never thought I was going to express the things I did with you," because the producer kept commenting how she was sliding closer and closer to me. We did 4 live segments and then went back to the show. And each time we were conversing with the interview and we were standing and there was a monitor between us, like I'm here and maybe she's on this side, she kept inching closer and closer to me. And the producer had said, "You're getting so comfortable with Jim that it's fantastic. It looks great on television, but we need you to just step back a little bit, Sarah, because you're blocking the monitor."
Oh my God.
You're coming in so close to Jim because you felt so comfortable.
Oh.
So it was really cool. And she said before she went back to London, she had to, I felt somebody like pull my arm almost out of the socket. And it was her telling me this and expressing this. And I thought it was very beautiful that she took the time to let me know how she felt so comfortable and at ease in the conversation, because it was not something that, she does just automatically all the time, this live 2-hour epic event situation, but it was really amazing. Kathleen says, "Thanks for sharing your stories and your amazing career." She's in New York City. And cheers, of course, from June, Rachelson Aspa. I love her.
For this intro, I don't know that I would have known you if it wasn't for June.
I tell you. Check out that New Brunswick, Canada connection of the Kiersteads. We might find that there's a relation there.
Oh, my father will be all excited.
Isn't that amazing?
He loves the genealogy part of it.
It's we found, I mentioned that my mother's the youngest of 16, and we found on her side of the family like 100 more relatives. They're all over the country. They're in Europe, but we found 100 more relatives in Canada, and that's the Kierstead side. And they founded Kierstead Mountain and Kierstead Falls. It's a beautiful area of New Brunswick, Canada. Cool. So there could be, and the spelling is the same, so there could be a connection, here in the tri-state area. You never know. Dante in San Diego says, "You have an amazing career from IT to a 3-time Tony winner. What an incredible life career. Thank you for being a lovety." That's it. You get that you can keep for the rest of your life. And please come back as well. And I concur, Dante. Christine Clifton in North Carolina says, "Thanks so much for sharing your career, hearing more of your successful shows. Congratulations on all your awards. I've seen many of these fantastic shows. All your words of wisdom as well. You are amazing."
Christine.
Soraya Khan says, "I also love musical theater so much and all these shows." Bernadette, "We love musical theater, involved in it as well." Cool stuff from our wonderful viewers. We have really created a nice international community here on the show, and I really appreciate that. So we leave you as a lovety, my friend, and
This is amazing. I had the best time. It was great to meet everybody. This was fun. I can't believe you asked me about all the shows that you did. That was amazing.
We do our research. That's the journalistic background, I guess, and well-rounded. And we've chatted for 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Great. Yeah.
Everybody says it never feels that way. It doesn't feel, because it's just a conversation, it's not. An interview is question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, out.
Mm-hmm.
And I prefer much more of a conversation.
Yeah, it's a great format. It's really great.
We'll be watching for your new upcoming projects.
All right, please do. That would be great. If you'd like to keep in touch, just go to my website, kiersteadproductions.com, and you can keep in touch. I'll put you on my mailing list. I usually send out a monthly newsletter about all that's going on.
That is awesome, my friend. Congratulations on everything that you've had happen in your life, and continued blessings and joy to you and yours. And hopefully we'll be getting together soon when we're able to do that. I'd love that.
I would love it. Let's do it. Let's make that happen.
All right. You're on, my friend.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
You have a good night, okay?
Stay safe. Yes, please. Thank you. You as well. And stay safe.
Now go stretch those legs. That's what I tell everybody.
I have my cocktail now.
Go have the cocktail and stretch those legs, and polish the craftware on the left there.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Thanks again.
Thanks,
good night, everybody. Be safe.
It was a pleasure. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Bye-bye now.
Take care, Jim.
Bye-bye. Very special guest, again, Emmy and Olivier and 3-time Tony-winning theater producer, Jim Kierstead. A real pleasure to have him on the show. We thank him for his time. And another wonderful guest here on the Jim Masters Show Live. I really appreciated him being here. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that we've had several, and we're going to be sprinkling more in during the course of our show. We have another fabulous video from one of our amazing guests. You may remember John LaBarbera, the brilliant guitarist who was on with me, personal friend. He's an extraordinary guitarist and musician, songwriter, and so much more. He played like 5 or 6 different guitars when he was on the show back in the summertime. If you didn't see that episode, it was epic. You can see all the episodes on Jim Masters TV on our YouTube channel. He actually had a very special video he made celebrating the Jim Masters Show Live and telling us why he enjoyed his time with us. And we're going to have him back on the show soon. Here he is.
Quick shout out to celebrate the Jim Masters Show Live. And I'd like to share that with all of you. I had such a great time on Jim's show last time. We spoke about music and a lot of my experiences as a musician. And it was just a very rewarding experience. And one of the best things is being able to share that with all of you and to watch the audience's reaction, which every show is very unique. And the way that Jim presents the show to you with audience interaction, I think is very important. And it really is mostly important during this period of time where we need this sense of connection. And Jim's show brings you right into that. You can look forward to it each night, and you never know who's going to appear, and I'm sure it's always a rewarding experience. Every time Jim and I would get together, it was always as if we were just, we saw each other every day, and just feeling so comfortable. But now being able to have that experience with Jim's show, I think that he's opened it up to all of you and has built a wonderful family of friends and people from all over. It's so international, and it gives you really a sense of being connected. And that's one of the most important things, is the sense of community. And Jim has a great touch in doing that. So let's celebrate and hope to see you all again very soon on another show. And let's celebrate Jim Masters Show Live. See you all again soon, I hope. Ciao.
It was amazing having him on and sharing that with all of you. We love John. He's a brilliant musician and brilliant guitarist, and it was a real pleasure having him on the show. Loved having him, and we will have him back. We will definitely have him back. I don't know if you saw the other night, Tony Lobianco, the award-winning television, film, and stage actor, and his wonderful wife, Elise. They were both guests on our show individually back in the summertime. I don't know if Tony, of course, is just an incredible actor. Elise is a brilliant person as well. They're personal friends of mine, dear friends, and they enjoyed their time with us. The episode is available on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. All the episodes, I'm talking almost 300 episodes of our entertainment lifestyle talk show series, are available for you to watch and enjoy. And we'd love it if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content. It also helps the show too when you do that. We would love that. Here is Tony Lobianco and Elise Lobianco.
Here, my dog.
We want to say how much we enjoyed being on your show this last year. You interviewed Tony. We were separately. You interviewed Tony for his acting career and me for my Christian ministry.
And we just want to thank you for being such a gracious host and for doing your homework, finding out about us, and doing such a great job. I also want to apologize for this, by the way. COVID, has taken away our freedom and not allowed us to be social or political. And I just grew this. It'll come off.
And I like it.
She likes it. Okay.
We
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you in 2021.
Absolutely. Take care, Jim.
Wonderful having them on the show as well. And of course, we will have them back as well. And they're always fantastic people. Ellis Gage, remember when actor and performer Ellis Gage was on the show? He had some wonderful words to say as well.
Hi everyone, Ellis Gage here. This past summer, I had the privilege of appearing on the Jim Master Show live, and I had the most incredible time. One of the most amazing things about Jim's show is the diverse array of artists featured from all walks of life. I really loved getting to share my own experience as a performer and really explore with Jim why we do what we do, why artists make art, what it's all about. It helps remind me, and I believe many, just how important it is to keep creating and sharing our work, doing our thing, even through the most challenging of times. I mean, this show is a product of the pandemic, which really proved that there is often room to make art, to teach and learn through the abstract, etc., really in whatever situation. It was something very special, and I hope to be back for more levity, as Jim says, very soon.
Loved having Ellis on the show, and he will be back as well. We're sprinkling in some of these as we've been getting them. We're going to do a whole, I think, episode where we've got so many of these from our guests, and we really thank them all, as well as some from our viewers as well. I'm going to sprinkle those in as well. Do you remember when the wonderful John L. Peacock was on the show? You can see his guest appearance on the Jim Master Show Live too on our YouTube channel.
Howdy, everyone. John L. Peacock here, actor, writer, director, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank Jim Masters for everything that he does. He's able to bring people together from such a wide array of life experiences and backgrounds, and he's able to interview us in a way that, for me, just made me feel so comfortable, so at home. I met Jim literally a couple of minutes before we went on live for our roughly 2-hour interview, and it was refreshing. I felt like I was talking with an old best friend and we were catching up for the first time in 10 years. That's how at home, that's how comfortable he made me feel so quickly. So thank you, Jim, for all you do. I really appreciate it.
Do you remember when Bob Malone was also on our show, the wonderful musician and pianist and so much more? We had a great time with him. He's going to be popping back on the Jim Master Show Live as well. You can see that very, very fun episode with Bob. He's a legend. He's played with some of the biggest people in the industry. He's a cool guy, and he has some kind words as well.
Hey, Lovedies, this is Bob Malone. I just want to let you know that I can't wait to be on the Jim Master Show again. Not only is Jim great to do an interview with, but he has the nicest fans on earth. I'll see you all soon.
Edward Jordan was with us too, with Sky Aubrey, you may remember, the Hollywood legend. And then we did a tribute show to her after she had passed away. She was a guest on the show with playwright and screenwriter and producer Edward Jordan. And then she had passed away, and we did a tribute show as well. Edward, on the ferry in Washington State, has some kind words as well.
Hey, Jim. Edward Jordan here on the Whidbey Island Ferry. Just wanted to wish you and all of your viewers a great 2021. It's got to be better than what came before. And to all you folks out there, Jim is every bit as nice as he seems. Woo!
That was funny. He did that on the ferry. Remember when the wonderful singer and performer live from Argentina, Ramiro Tejada, was a guest on our show? Yeah, he was here and live from Argentina, and he had such a great time. We'll have him back on the show in coming weeks as well. He had a very special message for all of us.
Hi Jim, how are you, my friend? Greetings from Argentina, here in the south of America, very far away from there. Yeah, let me read this that I wrote for you. First of all, let me tell you that it was a pleasure for me to have been in your program, in your show, in the Gin Master show. I had a great time talking to you. It was a very nice experience, yeah. I hope to be there soon and shake hands, bro. Yeah, shake hands and share one of those drinks you have in your program too. I remember the drinks. I wish you and all the American people health and prosperity in this new year. And Dios los bendiga a todos. Los quiero mucho. Ramiro Tejada de Argentina. This is my Spanish in the Argentinian way. And God bless America, God bless Argentina, God bless the world. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
We thank him very much for doing that. And of course, once again, wonderful flautists, internationally acclaimed flautists, Sir James Galway and Lady Jane Galway, were here on the show live from their home in Switzerland. He's originally from Ireland, of course. She is from New York. They also teach flute, and he has sold millions of albums, and he's just a wonderful guy. They both are wonderful people. He actually had some kind words he wanted to share as well.
Hello, Jim. I just want to tell you how much pleasure Jeannie and I got out of appearing on your show when it was possible to do that. I hope in the future we'll be able to do it again and take part in a great show.
We thank him very much for that beautiful message live from Europe when they sent that along. We have a bunch more. We will show them as we go along and sprinkle them into our shows. And some we'll show again if you've missed them. And I think we're going to do a whole episode just celebrating the guests and our lovely viewers. And we'll show a bunch of them because we have so many of them that have come in. And if you'd still like to record a video message telling us why you enjoy the Jim Masters Show live, you can do that. And you can send it to jimmasterstv@gmail.com. That's jimmasterstv@gmail.com. That's the show's email address. And you can send it in an MP4 file or a movie, MOV file. And then we can show it on the air. And we have some more that have come in. We still have some from over the holidays we still have to show as well that we're compiling and putting together as we can go along time-wise. So I think we're going to do a whole show where we just share them. But really appreciate these beautiful video tributes that have come in from so many of our guests and our viewers as well. Some of you wonderful lovities are making those. And if you'd like to, again, feel free. We would love it. Keep it in it. We'll keep them in our wonderful archive and collection. Means a great deal. So those of you who've done that, all of those folks you've seen on just now, all of them have appeared on the Jim Masters Show Live as my special guest. You can see all of their episodes in the archives right there at Jim Masters TV. It's really, really cool. And we'll show some of those again as we go along. We'll also show some of the new ones that are coming in. But again, if you would like to have an opportunity to record one yourself, doesn't have to be very long, doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be edited, where you're going to get a Tony Award or anything. It could be just something that you create that's fun and exciting, however you want to do it. We really appreciate that. You can send it to jimmasterstv@gmail.com. Hey, tomorrow we're going to have a lot of fun. She's all excited. Valerie David is here. She's a brilliant producer and performer, and she's involved in some really cool projects, and she's going to be here. We're very excited to have her here on the show. That's tomorrow. Then on Thursday, Melissa Errico is going to be here. She is a Broadway star, Tony-winning Broadway star. Also, her husband is Patrick McEnroe, the tennis broadcaster, yes, tennis player, and her brother-in-law is John McEnroe, the tennis star. Yep, a lot of tennis in the family. She's going to be here on Thursday. Acclaimed soprano Anna Velova is going to be here. She's also going to perform live. That's on Friday. On Saturday, the cast of, oh, this is great, Freestyle Love Supreme, they're going to be here. They're also going to perform live. This was co-founded by Lin-Manuel Miranda, from In the Heights on Broadway and Hamilton on Broadway. The cast of Freestyle Love Supreme, they are not only brilliant performers, they are funny as heck. It's a very comedic performance, and they're going to be here coming up on Saturday. Now, it's a special time on Saturday. It's going to be 8 p.m., not 7 p.m., because they have another commitment just before our show. So we're actually shifting the start time of our show to accommodate them, because they're going to be here exclusively on Saturday, this Saturday. Freestyle Love Supreme, really cool, very excited about it. And again, they are going to be here, and we are really, really excited about that. That's going to be very, very cool. They're going to have a lot of fun with us. We're going to have a lot of fun with them. And we're just going to really enjoy ourselves. So again, mark that down. That's 8 p.m. on Sunday. That's going to be on Sunday. We're going to love that. It's going to be really, really cool. Cool stuff. I tell you, we do have a lot of incredible guests coming on the show, and not just that, but really just the time spent with all of you is just as glorious as when we have the guests, here on the show. It's just an amazing thing. Of course, we thank our very special guest, Jim Kierstead, for being here on the show. He was terrific. It was really cool having him. And maybe you learned something a little bit today about the whole process of being involved as a producer and also an investor in Broadway productions and so much more. On Sunday, we've got an exclusive, the Rum Jacks. This is a very, very, very popular Celtic rock band based in Australia. And of course, they have Irish roots. They're going to be here live on Sunday. Now, that's a special time, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. GMT. So 3 p.m. is our show this Sunday with the Rum Jacks, the Celtic rock band. They are going to be here with us. Really, really excited about that as well. And the list goes on and on and on. On Tuesday of next week, brilliant actor and singer Brian Charles Rooney is going to be with us. He's been in a lot of productions and shows and so much more. On Tuesday of next week, Joey Calveri is going to be with us. He's been in Rock of Ages and so many more incredible productions. He's going to be here as well on Wednesday. And on Thursday, a big night, a live concert here exclusively on the Jim Master Show Live with the Byrne Brothers. Yes, it's a wonderful Irish family group. You see the brothers there. You see the dad on the right. And they're originally from Ireland. They're from Dublin. Then they moved to Donegal. Now they live in Orlando, Florida. They're going to be here exclusively on the Jim Masters Show 1 week from this Thursday, March 4th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. They're also going to do a live mini concert exclusively for all of us here on the Jim Masters Show Live. So mark your calendars. That's coming up. on Thursday, March 4th. That's next week. So we have Brian Charles Rooney on Tuesday, Joey Calveri, wonderful actor and singer, going to be with us on Wednesday. The Byrne Brothers are going to be with us live on Thursday. And then many, many more guests. The wonderful Dee Wallace is going to be joining us soon. She was in E.T., the movie, as well as The Howling, Murder, She Wrote, the TV series, and Touched by an Angel, Police Woman, The Streets of San Francisco, you name it. She's been on it in television and film. She's got 3 new movies coming out, and I believe 2 TV series coming out as well. So she's going to be with us, and we're really, really looking forward to that here on the Jim Masters Show live. Cool. That's Dee Wallace. She's incredible. And Bernadette says, good night, Jim, and everyone stay safe and stay well. Got to take care of the convalescent. Have a good night, Bernadette. Thanks for another cool show. Have a great night. Good night, all. And absolutely, we love it. Dante CD says, good night, all lovelies. Have a wonderful and safe evening. Love you all. And it's good to have you with us. Dante in San Diego. Hugs to lovelies and Jim Masters. Thank you very much, Jennifer. And it is your birthday as well, right? So we say a very big from all of us here at the Jim Masters Show live. That was Dee Wallace. We say a very, very special happy birthday to Jennifer Barry. And we hope you have a beautiful day. Scrolled up. Thanks, lovelies, for all the happy birthday love. Absolutely. Oh, no, you didn't miss the Byrne Brothers. And if you ever think you missed anything, Gary, just see it all on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. Every episode of our series is archived on YouTube at Jim Masters TV. And I would love it if everybody would subscribe to the channel and share the opportunity with everybody to watch us here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Tell everybody about the show. Tell everybody you know about the show. Let them know that our show is here with great entertainment, inspiring conversation, and all kinds of cool things. So just spread the words. Tell everybody on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, in the supermarket, all your family and friends and colleagues to tune into our shows. There's something for everybody. So exciting. The Byrne Brothers were fantastic at the Ohio Celtic Fest in 2019. Absolutely. They are cool. They're here on Thursday, March 4th, live exclusively. Christine Clifton says, I really enjoyed the Double Lovely Jim show. It's Jim K, of course, Jim Kierstead, truly incredible. And we have a family connection with his last name, which is amazing on my mother's side of the family. Incredible, all his work. Love the show. Good night, Jim Masters. Lovely friends. Stay safe out there. Till next time. Absolutely. Kathleen says, thanks for another cool show. Have a great night, Jim. Good night, all. You as well. And good stuff. You guys are the best. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all of these cool messages. And again, we love, being interactive with everybody. And XOXO, June, thank you very much. We raise a glass to Jennifer Barry, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday. And we hope that you have had a beautiful day. And just, you know what, when it's your birthday, don't even make it a one-day event. Stretch it out all week. Take it to the weekend and just enjoy yourself. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the tribute videos, the Lovity videos that came in from our guests. We're going to sprinkle more in. We've got a bunch of them. And again, if anybody would like to make one, you can by just sending it to us at jimmasterstv@gmail.com. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can make it with your phone, whatever you want. And we'll be very happy to show it here amongst the others on our show. Good night, Mary. And enjoy the rest of your birthday, Jen, as well. You are very, very welcome. Good night. Take care. And it's a blessing having all of you here with us on the Jim Masters Show Live. We thank you very much for being here. And yes, don't forget to smile and share the smiles. Don't forget to share the lovity. Find your Zen place. We know that the birthday girl, Jen Barry's time of Zen happens in the mountains. For me, it's the ocean. I love the mountains too, but the ocean is my go-to place. And of course, loving family and friends, time with them. My work in television and radio and stage all these years. Love that. That's a Zen place as well. And we love our time with all of you. And don't forget to relax. As we always say on the Jim Masters Show Live, don't forget to relax. Don't forget to take time for yourself. And don't forget to share the lovity. That's right. That's what we say all the time. Not every day is going to be perfect. So relax and enjoy. RELAX. All right, gang, we're signing off. Have a beautiful rest of your day or morning or night, whatever time you're watching this, whether it's live or you're watching this perhaps in the archives. Maureen, thank you, Jim, for another incredible evening of lively conversation. I hope everyone has a good night. May your dreams be sweet. You as well. Good night, gang. Thanks for joining us. Again, happy birthday again to Jennifer Barry, one of our wonderful lovedies. We wish you many years of good health, love, lovity, and hopefully peace and contentment in your life. All right, gang. Busy, busy day tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much, lovelies. And Jim, you're welcome. Jennifer, absolutely. You had forgotten to relax. See? Everybody waits to the end of the show when I remind people to relax. You know what? Sometimes I even have to tell myself to relax too. So relax and enjoy life. Life is really short, as we know. So not every day is going to be perfect. So make the most of it. Make the best of it. Whatever comes your way. Sending lovity hugs. Stay safe. Good night to you as well, Kathleen Walker in New York City, and to everybody watching. Your host, Jim Masters, here as always. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, we'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, with a really fun show. It's going to be lively with Valerie David here. She's got an amazing show that she's involved in. We'll tell you all about it tomorrow here on the show. We'll see you on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Jim Masters TV. Yeah, feel free to like the pages and follow me there. Love it. And of course, you can see us on our YouTube channel as well. And again, we had mentioned the visit with Cheetah Rivera, and Jim Kierstead was a part of that. And it was wonderful actually having an opportunity to meet Cheetah Rivera and chat with her. And of course, wonderful friend Lucy Arnaz. And this was another show that Jim was involved in, Pippin. And she was in Pippin, and Lucy Arnaz was brilliant in it. As well, Cheetah was brilliant in The Visit, as Cheetah is really brilliant at everything. All right, gang, you are quite brilliant yourselves. We will see you tomorrow. Go stretch those legs. We love you all. Thanks for watching this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. Good night.